was a spatter event, correct?
Yes.
And that would have been in the master bedroom, correct?
Yes.
And more specifically, I think you testified that that spatter event would have been back spatter, correct?
Correct.
And you opined that to be the case because you reviewed the medical examiner's report, correct?
Correct.
You would agree with me that from a spatter event, from that particular spatter event, you couldn't estimate with accuracy where in the room Megan would have been standing when this injury occurred, correct?
I was not able to do that in this case, no.
And I think you testified on direct that the blood would be traveling from the direction that the force came from, correct?
Correct. It would be back spatter.
But would you agree with me with this type of injury, the blood doesn't necessarily come out in a straight line completely forward, correct?
No, it's conical in nature as well.
Conical.
As long as the originating injury allows it, as if there's not something to obscure it.
So would you agree with me that it's possible that the spatter event could have happened at a less than 90-degree angle? Could it came from her eye, let's say, at a 45-degree angle?
I really don't feel comfortable putting a percentage on it. I can just say that because it did in the orbital region, there is a larger area of disbursement.
So it's true you can't approximate her location in the room for less than 10 feet, right?
Oh, no, I cannot.
Okay. With regard to the blood pool stain in the east garage, and that was the big blood pool, right?
The larger one?
Right.
Right next to the north wall?
Correct.
Okay.
Were there any DNA results showing who the blood came from?
No, not that I'm aware of, no.
And could it have been a mixture of blood?
It could have been.
And I think you testified that there were, on the edges of that pool, there were some stains that were conical in nature, right?
Yes, those would be the spatter stains.
Okay, and you classify them as spatter stains, right?
Yes.
But I think you said that those stains could have been consisting with somebody dropping something in that blood, right?
Yes, that cannot be excluded.
You don't have any opinion that the actual injuries would have occurred near that spot, correct?
I have no I can't exclude that either, because it is possible that a blood source was impacted with less force while on the floor.
Right.
And caused the same kind of conical pattern as if something was dropped.
But this could have been blood that was there from the deceased people that were there for a while, right?
And then something dropped into it? Yeah, I can't exclude that.
Now, it is your opinion that Nicholas Leonard suffered bloodletting injuries in the southeast bedroom, correct?
Yes.
And it is also your opinion that either he or a person contaminated with a substantial volume of his blood dripped stains in that bedroom, correct?
Yes, there were some passive drip stains in that bedroom as well.
So this is supported by drip stains to the subfloor, right?
Correct. That tested positive to him by DNA.
In addition to the red chair you pointed out on direct.
Correct.
And the window fan.
Correct.
With regard to the cast-off stains in the closet, and also I think to the curtains, would you agree with me that they could have been caused by a knife?
I don't know what the instrument was. I cannot exclude a knife.
Right. The state brought up a hammer. Would a knife be as consistent as a hammer with regard to those cast-off stains?
Sure, I can't exclude a knife.
Now, you testify Nicholas Leonard wasn't moving when the cast-off stains that were left on the mattress occurred. That's your opinion?
He wasn't moving very much.
Okay.
If he was moving, it was localized to that particular area.
So he could have been alive and he could have been moving?
Could have been alive and could have been moving.
And I think you testified on direct that the bloodletting with regard to happened on the mattress or really close to it, correct?
The cast-off and the spatter that was around the saturation is consistent in appearance with the source of blood, Nicholas Leonard, being either on the mattress or slightly above. And what I mean by that is his head.
Okay.
And the areas that sustained the blunt trauma.
And you are aware that there's evidence that that mattress was probably on the floor, correct?
I am aware that there was not a mattress found in there, and there was a mattress found in the west garage.
But you know of no bed structure, frame, or box frame, or anything of that nature, do you?
No, not that I'm aware of, no.
What about the saturation mark on the southeast bedroom floor? You would agree that he was probably at some point on that spot, right?
Correct.
With regard to the fitted sheet, you identified a stain you first thought was a mucal membrane, I think you said, right?
Yes, I wasn't sure.
Okay, and then was any DNA testing done with regard to that stain?
It was not.
Okay. And you said that you did some kind of test, you thought it was blood?
A phenolphthalein test, yes.
Okay. And with regard to the phenolphthalein test, is it possible that this still could have been mucal membrane with blood in it?
Yes,
Okay. It's common, people get colds, right?
that's possible, yes.
Okay. So you don't have any opinion with regard to that particular stain, what that could be?
No, it was a mixture of tissue, skin, mucal membrane, and blood.
And you would agree with me that this was a common household sheet, right?
It was a sheet that I'm familiar with.
fitted
I
sheet.
recognized it as a fitted sheet, yes.
Okay, and you have no idea of dating these stains and knowing when they were placed on the sheet, right?
No, I cannot do that.
Okay, so there could have been stains on this bed sheet preceding August 28th of 2014, correct?
Yes,
Now, you clearly do identify a spatter event in the northern wall of the west garage,
yes,
near the door leading to the stairwell.
correct, yes.
And your opinion is that that is from a downward blow, correct?
The force is traveling downward that caused the spatter event, yes.
And that stain has been recognized and identified as having Margaret Brown's DNA, correct?
That is my understanding, yes.
Would you agree with me that Margaret would have been in an upward position when she received that blow?
Based on the scales and the heights, yes, it would be more consistent with an upright position.
So she was standing,
Upright position.
okay, but consistent with.
I
consistent with
can't
standing.
exclude standing.
Okay. Now, you testified during your introduction, your presentation, that some materials reject the introduction of a liquid.
I'm sorry? Can
You
repeat that?
testified when you did your presentation in the beginning that some items reject the introduction of a liquid.
Well, by nature, they're designed to attempt to do that, but if they're unsuccessful in that, then they accept the liquid, and I'm talking about fabrics and textiles, then they're designed to wick the liquid out and disperse it so then it evaporates quicker.
Yes, ma'am. Is plastic a substance that rejects the introduction of a liquid?
I would not, that's a tough question to answer. If I talk about everyday plastics that I'm familiar with, that I've used in my experience, they do not reject, they tend to, it beads up or it rolls off or to that effect.
Would a plastic garbage bag act as a barrier to obstruct a spatter event from ever occurring?
As long as there wasn't a defect to the bag, or if the bag was gaping open like it hadn't been tied strongly.
So hypothetically, if a bag has been placed completely over a person's head and an injury took place to that head, so long as the bag was not damaged, would you agree that that plastic garbage bag would act as a barrier to any spatter event?
Once the bag is put on an area, yes, I would expect if it wasn't defected that any additional blows would not produce subsequent spatter.
And how about two bags? Would they double the chances of an obstruction?
I feel comfortable with that.
And if a person who was covered with these two bags had tape secured around the neck as to close the opening of that bag, would you be comfortable in giving an opinion that you would not have a blood spatter event?
If a blood spatter event after the bags have been, I can't say there wasn't
Right,
a blood
after.
spatter event, it just would be contained within the bag.
Correct, but there'd be no evidence of a blood spatter event on a wall.
Correct, not from that particular blow, once the bag was put on.
And with regard to the stains in the western garage, you testified to stains near I think it was a stainless steel refrigerator, if I'm not mistaken, or parts thereof.
It was a
door.
refrigerator, the doors were tied open.
And you said you couldn't exclude cast-off stains on that door.
Correct.
And these cast-off stains also were correlated to Margaret Brown's DNA, correct?
I could not exclude cast-off or passive, and yes, they were, came back to Margaret Brown.
And you're aware from the medical examiner's report that all of Margaret Brown's injuries were to the head, correct?
That is my understanding, yes.
Okay. So, again, would you agree with me that there would be no such cast-off stains if the head was completely covered with a plastic bag?
At the time that a blunt force injury occurred after the
Yes,
plastic
ma'am.
bag, correct.
Can I have a moment, Your Honor? Thank you very much.
Redirect.
Briefly, Your Honor. Ms. Cox, in identifying, and I'm going to end up right where they left off on this west garage, this wall, where the DNA was identified as being Margaret Brown's, okay? This is the impact stain that we talked about and the transfer stain as to the potential handprint on the north wall, west garage.
Okay,
You there with me?
I am.
All right. For there to be blood, like you observed, there would have to be an injury sustained to an individual, correct?
Yes, the blood source was impacted.
Right. And the stains upon which you saw are consistent with there being an injury, correct?
Correct.
Now, you had an opportunity to review the medical examiner's reports
Yes,
and review their photographs,
yes,
all right? And you're aware that Miss Margaret Brown sustained a number of injuries to her head, correct?
yes,
All right. And much like with blood stains, it can be difficult to establish the order in which stains were put in a particular location. I guess the order can sometimes be difficult to establish,
correct. Sequencing is not always an option.
right? So too, it can be difficult to sequence the way in which injuries occur.
That, yes, the sequence of injuries is the medical examiner's
Okay.
forte.
But the injuries that Ms. Brown sustained to her head, you're familiar with a large injury to the left side of her head, correct?
I am.
But she also had other injuries to her head, correct?
She did.
And based on your level of experience and the things that you've seen, those are injuries that could also produce blood.
Yes,
And you would agree with me that when the doctors indicate that the cause of death was at least at some point due to blunt head trauma, that requires a blunt object to hit a person,
yes,
and that could cause a blood-shedding event.
yes.
You were asked some questions about the saturation stains in the southeast bedroom. Through the course of your analysis, you indicate that the blood-shedding events related to Nicholas Leonard happened on a mattress in that room, correct?
Yes,
All right. There's also a saturation stain on the floor, correct?
yes,
And fair to say that if a person sustains injuries, the fact that there's a saturation stain on the floor is really just indicative that the person, or in this case, Mr. Leonard, laid on the floor.
I felt that the saturation stain was consistent with that, yes.
Okay. You can't tell us how he got to that location particularly, can you?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, at one point we have him on the mattress, and then at one point we have him on the floor. You can't tell us exactly how he went from the mattress to the floor, correct?
No, I cannot.
You can just tell us what happened on the mattress as it relates to the injuries that he sustained, or what the blood patterns tell us about the injuries he sustained.
That's correct.
And you can just tell us that at some point his body laid on the floor long enough to cause a saturation stain.
Yes, his head was able to deposit blood freely onto that floor area.
Thank you, ma'am. No further questions.
All right, Ms. Cox, thank you very much. May step down. Is she released from her subpoena?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, as some housekeeping matters, do you want to move in those exhibits that we haven't moved in?
Yes, Judge. At this time, the state would like to move in state's exhibits.
531, 532, 533.
Yes, Judge. 531, 532, 533.
Defense, any objection? These are all photographs.
No, Your Honor.
And then 577 through 583.
Yes, Your Honor. That's not stated, so there we.
Any objection? Again, they're the same photographs that the witness, Ms. Cox, testified and was shown up on.
Oh, no objection whatsoever, Your Honor.
We just, the numbering got a little off there, so just for the clerks. So 577 through 583 is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor.
State, call your next witness.
Billy Earls.
Good afternoon, Mr. Earls. If you want to step up to the podium here for me. Raise your right hand and be sworn by the clerk.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right, ma'am, if you can step around and have a seat in the witness stand. I just need you to make sure you speak in a loud and clear voice so we all hear you, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. State, you ready to proceed?
Yes, Judge, thank you. Counsel. Good afternoon. Would you please introduce yourself to the jury?
My name is Billy Earls.
And will you spell your first name for the court reporter just to make sure we get it right?
Yes, that's Billie.
Now, Ms. Earls, do you live here in Pasco County?
Yes, I do.
Let's go back to August of 2014. And on that month and that year, did you live at 15817 Kemper Drive?
Yes, I did.
And is that in Hudson?
Yes, it is.
Now, if I showed you a map of the area, could you kind of roughly point out where that would be?
Yes, sir.
I'm showing her what's in evidence of states 257.
Okay. Well, let me find my house first. Where is...
We got Old Dixie Highway right here just to give you some orientation.
Well, I'm trying to find my house on this. I don't see it.
Would you be over in this direction?
Yes. Yes, this would be Golf Drive, coming out this way. And the apartment complex that I lived in was back this way on the right. So you go out this way here, and you make a left, which is this Old Dixie Highway, as he said, and the house is right here, where
Now-
the gentleman lived.
About how far from Old Dixie Highway was your residence in 2014, roughly?
Oh, my goodness. I'd say less than a mile.
Now, the residence that you had there, was it a house, an apartment complex?
Apartment complexes, sir.
And what was the layout of it? Are these large buildings or small buildings?
They're fairly large buildings, but there's like 4 units in each building.
And does each unit have assigned parking spaces?
Yes, sir, they do.
And are those indicated with the apartment number spray painted on the ground?
Yes, sir, it does.
Your Honor, may I approach with some photos
You may.
that I've already shown the folks? And for the record, these are 585, 584, 587, 588, 589, and 586. Now, Ms. Earls, could you flip through these and tell us if you recognize these photos?
Yes, I will. Okay, the first picture is the entrance inside of Chelsea.
Let me get you to not show the jury just
Oh,
yet.
okay.
We'll do
The
that just
second one is the parking space on the house, the address that I lived.
Mr. Earl, can you just flip through them to yourself, see if you recognize?
Oh, I'm sorry.
We'll get to you telling us what they are after
That's all right.
you see it. That's all right.
Shame on you.
Rules, you gotta follow them, sorry.
That's okay. Yes.
And you recognize all of these photos?
Yes, sir, I
And are
do.
these photos that are taken of your apartment complex back in 2014?
Yes, sir.
And are these all true and accurate representations of how it appeared at that time?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, at this time, we would like to move these into evidence.
All right, any objection?
No objection.
All right, so 584 through 589 will come into evidence.
Now, Ms. Earls, I'm going to approach and ask you about each one of these one at a time.
Okay.
And I'm just going to ask you from here, and I may walk over so I can see a little bit better. So this photo right here, what is this one?
That is the entrance inside of the apartment complex in which I lived.
And this is states 585. And the next photo I'm going to ask you about is states 587. Would you tell us what this one is?
Yes, that's the apartment building in which I reside and the parking place where we're assigned to park the vehicles, our vehicles.
Now, there's covered parking here, and it looks like there's another truck over here off on the side.
Yes, sir?
The covered parking spots, are these the assigned spots?
Yes, sir, it is.
Now, do you recognize the vehicles in this photo?
Yes, I do.
Could you tell us whose vehicles these are?
On the far right end is a lady by the name of Joan. She lives in the lower end apartment. Then you have Rich, which was next door to where I lived. That is his vehicle. And the next one from his was my vehicle. And the next one to that one on the end apartment was another attendance, which was, her name was Candy. And that was her parking spot.
And that truck back here?
That truck belonged to my son. He was living with me at the time.
Now, this photo right here, is this a zoomed-in shot of that same parking area?
Yes, it is.
And do you see your car in that photo?
Yes, I do.
And which one is it?
It's the black Ford Focus.
And, I'm sorry, for the record, that's 588. And 589, could you tell us what this is?
Yes, that is the address that's written on the concrete, in which has your apartment number to where you are supposed to park.
And that just indicates who owns essentially which parking spot.
Right.
One more here. And states 586, is that just a picture of the entry to the apartment complex from the other side?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, let's go back to August 28th, 2014, that particular evening. Was your car parked in your parking space?
No, sir.
Where was your car that night?
My granddaughter came over Thursday evening around 6:30 to pick my vehicle up. I let her borrow it for a school function. So she drove my car to school that Friday morning for the school functioning she had.
So she borrowed it on Thursday night so she would have it on Friday morning.
Yes, sir.
Now, when you went outside or looked outside on Friday morning, did you see a vehicle parked in your parking space?
Yes, sir.
And that would be, Friday would be August 29th of 2017.
Yes, sir.
And I'm showing you now what's been introduced as states 584. Is that the vehicle you observed?
Yes, sir.
And is that license plate 244JJN?
Yes, sir.
And is that a blue pickup truck?
Yes, sir.
Now, do you know who owned this pickup truck? Or did you know at the time who owned this pickup truck?
No, sir, I did not.
Did you give anybody permission to park in your parking spot?
No, sir, I did not.
So when you saw a vehicle parked in your spot without permission, what did you do?
I called the office and reported that there was a vehicle that had parked in my space. So when my granddaughter brought my car back on Saturday, I could not park my car there because that vehicle had my spot. When I called the office, they said that I had to give them 24 hours. And I went to neighbor to see if any of those people might be having company. And maybe someone had pulled up into my parking spot. And no one had company. So I didn't know who the truck belonged to.
So was the truck still there a few days later?
Yes, sir, it was.
So what did you do after the 24-hour window had passed?
On Monday, I called the office back and I reported the truck was still there. So they made another issue about it, that they would call someone. And on Wednesday, around 11:30 that morning, Tatum's Towing came and towed the truck out so I could get my car put back in there.
Just one more. And did you ever see anybody associated with the truck, anybody who appeared to be the owner of it, or anybody pull it in and park it or move it at
No,
any
sir.
time? Okay. Thank you, ma'am. And Judge, we have no further questions right now. We have no further questions.
I understand. I'm waiting till you move.
So,
Fence, across?
Ma'am, you said that, Ms. Earls, you said that the corner of Dixie and Hatteras
yes,
was less than a mile
Yes.
away. That's all I have.
All right, any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Ma'am, you are all done. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
You may step down if she released from her subpoena.
She is released.
All right,
No objection.
State, call your next witness.
We will call Richard Cox.
Richard Cox. Good afternoon, Mr. Cox, if you can step up to the podium for me. Stop right there, raise your right hand, be sworn by my clerk.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, please have a seat in the witness stand, speak in a loud and clear voice for me. State, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Defense, could you please turn and introduce yourself to the jury?
I am Richard Seafried Cox.
And Mr. Cox, I want to take you back to August and September 2014.
Okay.
Where were you living at that time?
I was living in the townhomes of, it's been a little while,
Chelsea Place?
Chelsea Place.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a little while. I haven't been living there.
Did you have a neighbor named Billy Earls?
Yes, I did.
In that apartment complex, did you all have assigned parking?
Yes.
And showing you some of the photographs that have already been entered into evidence. Is this the front entrance of that apartment complex?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Now, I noticed there's a gate there.
Hmm.
Was that gate ever closed?
No, it was always open.
It was always open, so even if somebody wanted to come 2 or 3 o'clock at night, or in the middle of the night, drive in, they wouldn't have any problem doing so?
No, they wouldn't have any problem.
And your particular parking lot within that apartment complex, was it the first parking lot you come to as you drive in?
Correct.
And I'm holding up States 588. Is your car pictured in this photograph?
Yes, it is.
Which one is yours?
It's the Mitsubishi Montero Sport, the SUV right there.
Do you know which spot would have been Billy Earls?
Yes, the one right next to it, the black car right there.
And the one closer to you from there, do you know whose that spot would have been?
This one here,
Yes.
that would have been Candy.
Candace Palkovic?
Yes, Candace Palkovic.
And are you familiar with William Schubert?
William Schubert, Bill? Yes.
And is he Candace Palkovic's boyfriend or
Yes.
fiance?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I want to turn your attention back to the Thursday or Friday before Labor Day. What kind of job were you doing during that period of time?
Working at Cracker Barrel.
And what time would you get up to go to work on those particular days?
I get up about 4:45, leave about 4:30, 4:45.
And that's 4:30, 4:45 in the morning,
Yes, in the morning.
a.m. Now, at that particular time period, either the Thursday morning or the Friday morning, when you woke up, did you notice something at between 4:30 and 4:45 in the morning that was unusual?
Yes.
What'd you notice?
I noticed a blue pickup truck.
And did you know who that belonged to?
No,
As far as you knew, was it associated with Billy Earls at all?
no,
Was it associated with any of the other neighbors that you knew?
no.
Whose spot was it in?
It was in Billy's spot.
And as you sit here today, do you remember whether it was Thursday or Friday?
I can't say it was either Thursday or Friday, but it was definitely Thursday or Friday. It was either the 28th, Thursday the 28th, or Friday the 29th, but I can't be exactly sure which day it was, but it was definitely one of those 2 days.
And it was 4:30 to 4:45 in the morning when you first saw it there.
Yes, correct.
Now, the day before that, about 9 o'clock in the evening, was that vehicle there?
No,
And so whatever the day, whether it was Thursday or Friday that you first saw it, the night before, it wasn't present.
correct.
Okay. I don't have any more questions, Judge.
Cross?
Afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Cox, you said that, I think, between 4 and 4:30?
No, I'd wake up about 4:45, and I'd leave about 4:30, 4:45 to go to work.
Okay, 4:30, 4:45.
I had to be to work
And
at
you said
5.
that was when you saw the truck?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Have you ever testified differently than that?
No, I think I said it was on, no, it was at 4:30.
Okay,
What I put in my police report was 4:30.
all right. Do you remember talking to a gentleman back on June 27th, 2016? I think Mr. Michaelos, a gentleman right there.
I'm not sure.
All right, do you remember being put under oath and having a deposition taken?
Yes,
Okay. And you,
Counsel, line and page, please.
yes, Judge, on page 8,
Counsel, line.
line 14.
Okay.
All right.
Wait a moment.
Good, Judge.
You're good?
Yeah.
Okay,
I
you
know
may
what he's talking
proceed.
about.
And you remember being asked the question, sounds good, and you said you leave for work at 5 in the morning, so it would have been 5 that you saw, and then answer, yeah, a little after 5. I have to be at work at 5:30, so it would be somewhere between 5 and 20 after 5, somewhere in between that range.
no, I don't remember that.
I'm sorry?
I don't remember that. Usually I go to work at 5 o'clock in the morning, but some days they have you come in at 5:30, some days at 5 o'clock. But those days, I remember when I put in the police report, it said I was there or up at 4:30 and out there at 4:45, and I had to be to work at 5 o'clock those days.
You don't remember that, but you do remember talking
Yes.
and having a
Yes.
deposition taken? All right.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Any redirect?
Yes, Judge. Now, Mr. Cox, Mr. Viscara just asked you about a deposition that happened within the last year and a half. Is that right?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Which was still 2 years after this initially happened. Is that fair?
Yeah,
Now, back when it first happened, back on September 10th of 2014, did the detectives come out and talk to you?
yes, it did.
Judge, I'm going to show the witness what's been now marked as States 591. And Mr. Cox, do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
Is that your handwriting?
Yes, it is.
Is that a statement that you filled out for law enforcement?
Yes, it is.
And did you write down the time that you observed that this vehicle was present?
Yes, I did.
And what'd you write down?
4:30 a.m.
Judge, at this time, state would like to admit States 591 into evidence.
Any objection?
No.
591 will be in evidence.
And back then, would have been within a week or 2 weeks of when this had happened. Is that?
Objection leading.
Oh, Overruled? Go ahead.
Would it have been a week or 2 weeks within having witnessed the truck being there that you filled out that statement?
Yes, correct.
Would your memory have been clearer at that time than it is now,
Overruled. You may proceed.
or even a year and a half ago?
Excuse me, one more time?
Would your memory have been better 2 weeks after this happened than it was back in June of last year?
Correct, yes.
Okay. And since you mentioned it in your statement, was there anything unusual about the vehicle that kind of also drew your attention to it?
Yeah, the windows were down and was missing a passenger seat. And there was
Okay.
tools in it.
The windows being down kind of exposed to the elements?
Yeah, exposed to elements. They were just a little out of place. That's why I put in there, it was out of place.
No more questions, Judge.
All right, Mr. Cox, thank you very much. You may step down.
Thank you.
Is he released from his subpoena state?
Yes, Judge.
All right, defense, any objection?
No, Your Honor.
All right, you're released. Thank you.
Thank you.
State, call your next witness.
State will call William Schubert.
Mr. Schubert, how are you?
Good, how are
Want
you?
to stop right there, raise your right hand, be sworn by my clerk.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right, sir, do you want to step to the witness stand, speaking in a loud and clear voice for me,
All right.
okay? Thank you, sir. State, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Could you please turn and introduce yourself to the jury?
Hi, my name is William Schubert.
And Mr. Schubert, I want to bring you back to August of 2014. Did you have any connection to 15815 Kemper Drive?
Yes, we lived in the first apartment right alongside the edge of the parking area.
And who's we?
Me and my girlfriend at the time, Candy Palkovic.
And is there assigned parking in that?
Yes, so there's
area?
there's a carport there, which has assigned parking for each apartment. And then there was a couple of spaces just outside there for visitors.
And I'm going to hold up States 585. Is that the front of that condominium
Yep.
area?
And that would be our apartment, that first one right there.
Okay, do you see the parking area? in the
Yep,
photograph?
yeah, that's the carport right there on the side.
Is that the first parking area that you come to if you come in that
Yes,
front entrance?
yes.
Mr. Schubert, I know you've probably never done this before, but you gotta wait till he finishes the question, then answer, okay? Go ahead.
Poor lady here is trying to type down everything we say, so if we talk at the same time, she gets angry, and I'm closer to her, so. Now, in terms of that parking area, or I'm sorry, you see there's a gate there. Was that gate ever closed back in August and September 2014?
No, as long as I was there, it never worked. So it was always open.
So it was never going to prevent anybody from coming in or going out?
No.
And when you were staying there, did you know your neighbors and the different vehicles that they drove?
Oh, most definitely. We were close-knit in that whole building.
I'm holding up 588. Do you recognize the vehicles in that photograph?
Yes, I do.
Could you please point them out and tell me whose
All
vehicles they
right,
are?
this was mine right here. This was my girlfriend Candy's. That was Billy's. That was Rich's. And that was, she lived on the end. Oh, I can't remember what her name was. But she lived on the far side.
Joan?
On the, Joan, that's right, yep.
Now, specifically, what kind of a job did you do on August 28th and August 29th of 2014?
I was working for Nestle Waters in Zephyr Hills. I worked a line there, so I was a manufacturer, and I worked 12 hours overnight.
Now, long commute?
Yeah, it was about a long commute, probably about 45 minutes to an hour, depending on traffic.
Now, on August 28th, Thursday of 2014, when you left, was there a blue truck in Billy Earl's parking spot? On the 28th, Thursday.
On the 20th. I saw a truck, I believe on Thursday morning, because I had the weekend off, and the way Nestle's was set up, you had every other weekend off. And it was religiously kept right across the board. So I would have been off from Thursday morning, Friday, Saturday, and going back to work on Sunday night. So when I came back Thursday morning, which was around 6, I remember it was the truck that was there, because I remember that pretty well because Friday morning, we were getting ready to go kayaking on the Weeki Wachee.
And I'd like to show you your written statement real quick. If you can look over that.
Objection, Your Honor.
Approach.
Fair to say this was 3 years ago?
Right. Mhm. I mean, the best way, I guess, is to call Nestle's up and make sure what the schedule was, because that was the way it was. But I know I had that weekend off, because I was racking my brain last night trying to remember how that worked with the schedule. But I remember I was trying to remember how it worked on and off weekend. But I know I had that weekend off, because that
Okay,
was...
but would it refresh your recollection to review the written statement that you made
Yeah.
back on September 10th, 2014? Does that help you out?
Yeah, I mean, that would be pretty close to exactly what it was, because it was at 6 a.m. that I came back, and that's when I noticed the truck first there.
And that would have been 6 a.m. on Friday?
Yeah, I guess Friday morning, yes.
Okay. And were you guys going kayaking on Saturday?
Must, because I know I wasn't going after a 12-hour shift, so I know it was the next day.
Okay. And I want to show you what's been marked as States 592.
Right.
Recognize States 592.
Right, we took that picture because we had just got, that was her new kayak, and put it on top of the car the day before getting ready to go. And, right, the truck was parked next door, and it was still sitting there, even later on from when we were going to go kayaking the next day. And then that's Billy's son's truck right parked there, and my car sitting right next to it.
So this picture, you and Candace would have taken
Yeah, we took this,
before you went kayaking?
Before we went kayaking, yeah.
And so the day after?
Sir, before you went kayaking,
Pardon?
you two have to slow down and stop talking over each other, okay? You two are not having a personal conversation, okay? So we'll start with Mr. Saragi's going to ask you a question, and then you're going to answer it, okay? Go ahead.
So this photograph right here, you would have taken this before you went kayaking?
Correct.
Okay. And then the next day after this photograph was taken is the day you would have gone kayaking?
Yes.
All right. And is this a fair and accurate representation of what you observed?
Oh, most definitely.
And Judge, at this time, say would like to move State's Exhibit 592 into evidence.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, 592 is in evidence.
And Mr. Schubert, can you tell me what is pictured right on the far left side of this photograph?
That was the truck that wasn't supposed to be there, because it was parked in Billy's spot.
And this photograph would have been taken on the first day that you noticed it there?
Yes.
I'm showing you what's been entered into evidence, State's 584 already. Is that a fair and accurate depiction of the way the truck appeared in the parking spot between August 29, 2014 and when it got towed away?
Right. It didn't move. It was there, just boom, parked right like that, straight in.
Is there anything unusual about the truck?
It was left wide open, unlocked.
Were the windows open?
Windows, I believe were open, yes.
Exposed to the elements?
Yes.
And in terms of this photograph, you guys take this with like an electronic device?
Yeah, I think she had a little digital camera.
Nobody uses the old film
No,
Kodaks
no.
anymore, right?
No.
And did you and Candace provide the actual digital copy of this photograph to law enforcement?
I believe we did.
So they have the file, which sometimes that includes when the date it was taken
Yes.
is? Okay. I don't have any more questions, Judge.
Okay?
No questions, Your Honor.
All right. Schubert, you may step down, sir. Is he released from his subpoena?
Yes, sir.
Defense, any objection?
No, Your Honor.
All right, you're free to go, sir. Thank you very much. State, call your next witness.
Kelly Walker.
Mr. Walker, how are you, sir? We're going to have you come up to the podium. When you get there, I'll have you stop. Yes, sir. Raise your right hand, be sworn by my blood.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, sir, we're gonna have you sit in the witness stand right here and speak in a loud and clear voice for me, okay?
Sure.
Got a feeling I'm not gonna have a problem with you. You got one of those boom voices.
Yes.
All right, state, you ready to proceed?
Ma'am. Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Would you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Kelly Walker,
And Mr. Walker, where are you employed?
Sprint Corporation.
How long have you worked for Sprint?
Going on 8.5 years now.
And what is your job title?
Records custodian.
And let me back up 1 second. I just assumed everybody would be familiar with the Sprint company since it's such a large company. But let me ask you, just to make sure, what is Sprint?
Sprint is a telecommunications company, cell phone carrier.
Okay, so, cell phone provider provides the services.
Yes.
And you said your job is a records custodian?
Yes.
Could you please tell the jury what that means?
What we do is we respond to your legal demands, your subpoena, court order, search warrant. We provide the information that it requests, as well as today, we show up to answer any questions regarding that information, as well as authenticate that information.
And you travel around the country doing this?
Yes, weekly.
And every week?
Yes.
Where do you actually reside? Where is your home?
Kansas City, Missouri.
And you flew in for this?
Yes.
And then you got to fly back out this evening, right?
Yes.
Okay, we will get you out of here in time.
Okay.
May I approach the witness, Your
You
Honor?
may.
I'm showing you what's been marked for identification purposes as States 590. Could you look at this document and tell us what that is?
This is what we call our general letter with subscriber information.
And when you say subscriber information in general letter, would you give us an idea of what you're talking about?
Subscriber information is the information that is provided. It is the person that gives their name, date of birth, social security number, address when it is when an account is opened up.
And when the account is opened up, does Sprint require any sort of verification of who the, or any verification of identity?
Yes, like I stated, their social security number, date of birth, address. They provide like a photo ID, something of that nature.
And what is the phone number that this particular document is for?
It is for the number 484-951-2687.
And this is a true and accurate copy of the document that your office provided to the Pasco Sheriff's Office in response to a subpoena?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, we would like to introduce 590 into evidence as 590.
Any objection?
Sure, Your Honor.
All right, 590 will be in evidence.
And what can you tell us about who owned that particular phone number? Or who was it assigned to is probably the better wording.
The name provided, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, is Adam Matos.
And was that account verified in the manner that you mentioned earlier where some social security number had to be given to authenticate it?
Yes.
Now I'm going to show you another document. Thank you. This one is marked for identification purposes as States 593. Could you tell us what this document is?
This is what we call our call detail records with cell site.
And what does that mean, just in general? We'll put it up on the screen and actually the columns in a second, but could you just tell the jury basically what that document is?
It's going to be a list of all of the incoming and outgoing calls and text messages with cell tower information.
And does this contain content of those messages or just simply a record of calls made and text messages sent without any sort of content?
Yeah, with no content, just the phone numbers.
And this document that I showed you, was this sent to the Pasco Sheriff's Office in response to a subpoena for the call record for 484-951-2687 for August 6th, 2014 through September 4th, 2014?
Yes.
And is this document a true and accurate copy of what Sprint provided to the sheriff's office in response to that subpoena?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, we would like to introduce this into evidence as 593.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
All right, it'll be in as 593.
Thank you. Mr. Walker, I'm going to put it up here on this screen. Can you see that screen from where you're sitting?
Yes.
Okay. Well, just going to get you to explain this to us without putting it up there. So we've got a spreadsheet essentially with a series of columns on it. And I will let you hold it so you can look at it while we're talking. And each column appears to have a heading at the top of it and then information below that. The first three columns appear to have a phone number. Is that generally accurate?
Yes.
Okay, and then it has other stuff that I'll get you else information. But would you mind walking us through just each column? And we aren't going to go through all 36 pages of this, but what does each column mean and what type of information is contained?
Sure. And if it's okay, I'll just go ahead and start from left and just go all the way to the right, and I'll just give the column headers.
Perfect.
Okay. And I can just kind of hold it up so at least you'll be able to kind of know at least what I'm talking about when I go through. So we'll just start here. So the first column is called calling number. So that's going to be your column. So that's the number that is actually making or placing the call. Second column is called called number. So that's the number that is actually receiving the call. Third column is dialed digits. So that's the number that is actually being pressed on the keypad of the phone.
Let me interrupt you real quick just because I got a little confused about that. So let me make sure that the jury follows it. So the called number and the dialed number are two different columns because they're not necessarily the same numbers, right?
Correct.
So if I were to call your telephone, but you have your phone forwarded to a different number, the called number would be the number the call actually ended up at, and the dialed number would be the number that I punched into the telephone.
Correct. So
Okay.
if it's called forward, then it is subject to show a different number.
So that's
on
the
dialed
reason.
digits.
For the two columns.
Yes.
Okay.
The fourth column is called M&R, which means mobile roll. So that's going to give you the description of the call, going to let you know whether it's inbound, outbound, or incoming, outgoing, sorry. It'll actually say incoming, outgoing, routed, or undetermined.
And can you tell us what those terms mean?
Sure. Undetermined just means that the network was either busy at that time, so it just wasn't able to just give it an actual label of incoming or outgoing at that time. Routed just means that the call just had to get routed through the network, which just means that the closest tower was busy, so it went to the next available tower to reach the phone. Or 2, the call was just routed to voicemail of the phone. And then the fifth column, start date, pretty much self-explanatory, just gives you the date and time in military time, so 24 hours that the call started on the network. End date, same thing, just the date and time that the call ended on the network. Then the next column is duration. That's just going to give you the length of the call in seconds. Then the next column is NEID, which means just network element identifier. That just gives you the area of the cell towers that are being used for the call. Repo, just our old way of saying NEID. And then our last two columns, first cell, just means that that's the call that that's the cell tower that the call started on. Last cell is the cell tower that the call ended on.
Now, this document, it contains telephone calls as well as text message you mentioned.
Correct.
Now, how can you tell from this document which is a phone call and which is a text message?
Easiest way is when you get to the column that is marked duration, it's going to have a 0 in there. That's the easiest way to tell what a text message is. Anything with a duration of 0, that'll let you know it's a text message.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to show this to the jury so y'all can see this. This is that column. Now, the text messages, what time zone are those in on this document?
Text message is going to be in Central Standard Time.
Now, the telephone calls, what time zone are they in?
Calls is going to be wherever the phone is located. Here, since this is Eastern, the calls are going to be in Eastern time zone.
And did you also check to see where the calls were originated to make sure that was accurate on this particular
Yes,
case?
I did.
So
Those are in Eastern.
on one document, phone calls and text messages. Text messages, the time is in Central. Phone calls, the time are in Eastern.
Correct.
Okay, just making sure we're on the same page. Now, one other thing I wanted to ask you about, the duration column, the same one we just talked about, where if it's 0, it means it's a text message. The others have numbers in them, 35, 3, 27, 28. Could you tell us what those numbers mean?
Just the length of the call. So if it was 3 seconds, that just means that call lasted 3 seconds on the network. If it's 135 seconds, just means that that call lasted 135 seconds on the network. So it just gives you the length of the call.
Your Honor, may I have just one question, one moment.
You may.
Now, going back to the duration column we just talked about, let's say that it says 101. You said that's the length of the time on the network, but I noticed you didn't say that's the length of the connected phone call. Is it fair to say that this number indicates how long the call is on the network, not that it was connected? So it could be that they spoke and there was 101 seconds, part of that was speaking. It could be 101 seconds of a phone ringing, but it's your network time. Is that accurate?
I mean, the reason why I can't say that it was connected because that's saying like I would have to be there and I would have to know that that person is actually talking to someone. Only thing I can tell you is that that's our phone records. I just know what our network provided us the information. That's the reason why I can just say that that's what our network provided.
So you can't look at that and tell how long an actual phone call was, just how long the network was in use for that particular transaction?
Correct.
Okay. Now, let me ask you about a few other numbers on here, just so they'll make sense to the jury when they see this. The first one, there's an example on the first page here. This 6245000 in parentheses underneath the called number. What does that indicate to you?
Voicemail, because just like even when you look at 6245 on your dial pad, it spells out the word mail. So that's the code for voicemail.
So that's just the indication that that phone call went to voicemail.
Correct.
And then we've got a few other numbers I want to ask you about, so they'll make sense to everybody. Once I find my spot. Here we go. And you've already touched on this, but let me get you to explain it just explicitly about this particular area here. And for the record specifically, I'm looking at page 28 of 36 in States 593. In the dial digits column, we've got B3, B2, B4, B3, B2. Could you tell us what that means?
That just means that the user would have used a short code to dial a number.
And again, that dial digits, that's going to be literally what was typed into the keypad.
Yeah, they use some type of star something.
So that just indicates some sort of shortcut was typed into the phone to initiate that transaction.
Yes.
And Your Honor, may I have one more second? We have no further questions, Judge.
All right?
Mr. Davis, do you want me to leave this out for you?
No,
All right, Cross?
I don't have anything on.
All right, sir, thank you very much. You may step down and get your plane back to Kansas City.
Thank you.
That's where you're said.
Yes.
He's released from his subpoena, state, yes?
He is.
All right, defense, no objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir, very much.
Have a good trip.
State, call your next witness.
William Powell.
William Powell.
Actually, before we do that, Judge, we have a minute to get this screen working. We need it for this one.
We'll have Mr. Powell come in while you
Okay.
work on that. 3 times now. First thing we have to do is check to see if the plug's out. Good afternoon, Mr. Powell. Sir, if I can have you step up to the podium for me. Stop right there, raise your right hand and be sworn by my clerk.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right, sir, we're going to have you have a seat in the witness stand and speak in a loud and clear voice for me, okay? Thank you, sir. State, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Counsel. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Would you please introduce yourself to the jury?
My name is William Powell. I work for Craigslist in San Francisco as the Director of Law Enforcement and Government Relations.
And would you tell everybody just what Craigslist is in general?
Craigslist is a local classified ads and discussion forums service. It's largely community moderated. It's largely free.
And is it frequently used as an online classifieds of sort, buying and selling items?
Yes.
Now, with your job, tell me the title again one more time.
Title is Director of Law Enforcement and Government Relations.
And as part of your job duties, do you serve as the custodian of records for Craigslist?
Yes.
And does that entail you traveling around the country like you are today and testifying about records from Craigslist?
On occasion, yes.
And now, you're not having to do this every week, are you?
No.
Now, part of your job, does it include receiving subpoenas from law enforcement agencies and responding to those subpoenas?
Yes.
And that would also mean you, if documents, business records are requested from Craigslist, you would gather those and send them out in response.
Yes, that's correct.
Now, did you do that for the Pasco County Sheriff's Office back in 2014 for the Craigslist postings associated with the phone number 484-951-2687?
Yes.
And was that for the date range ending on September 4th and originating in May of 2014?
I don't recall the specific date range, but that sounds approximately correct.
If I show you the subpoena and the files request, would that refresh your memory?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I approach?
You may.
Thanks.
Have you refreshed your memory?
Yes.
And is that accurate?
Yes, I don't see the specific date range listed in there, but we would typically have a date range assigned for the search that we do.
And the documents that I just showed you, the marked for identification purposes, states 565, is this part of your subpoena response?
Yes.
And is that a true and accurate copy of what your company supplied to the sheriff's office?
Yes.
Your Honor, this time we would like to move this into evidence as states 565.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, I'll come in as 565.
Now, to put everyone's mind at ease, we're not going through all of these. So I do want to ask you about some, starting on page 33. Actually, we'll give you a different copy. Mr. Michaelis, you have an objection? I'm going to put the color up on the post and give him a black and white copy. That's fine. Is that 33? Yeah. So I'm looking at page 33, and I'm going to put it on the overhead as well. Now, at the top of that document, there's some text. Could you kind of walk us through what each one of those lines means, Mr. Powell?
The first entry in this particular record, posting ID number 464-276-8554, represents the ID number for this particular ad. Each ad that's created on Craigslist is assigned a unique number. The poster email listed here as matosadam6@gmail.com is the email address provided by the individual who placed this listing. The user ID is associated with that email address. The poster IP address represents the IP address that was captured from the device that created this listing at the time that the listing was created.
Mr. Powell, may I interrupt you right there and get you to give us a brief explanation of what an IP address is?
My understanding is that an IP address is a unique number that is assigned to a device that, in order for it to be able to connect to the internet, has to be given that number. Typically, it would be assigned by the entity that provides the internet service, so a company such as Comcast or Cox or a workplace would assign that ID number.
And that is not assigned by Craigslist?
That's correct.
Thank you. If you wouldn't mind just continuing on down that list.
The off user phone field listed here with the information 484-951-2687 represents the phone number that was used at some point to authenticate the user account associated with this particular post.
Could you give us an explanation of what you mean by authenticate the user account?
In most cases, users can simply go on to Craigslist and post a listing, but in some circumstances, they may receive a prompt that indicates that they need to take a further step in order to continue, and that represents the date and time listed in Pacific time that this particular post was created and a record was created on our servers. The posted date reflects the date and time, again in Pacific, that this ad was posted or published or made available to the public. And the record modified field contains the date and time, again in Pacific, at which the last change was made to this listing.
May I jump in one more time? Would you mind telling us the difference between Pacific time and our current time zone of Eastern?
The difference would be 3 hours.
Thank you. 3 hours behind us.
That's correct.
So if it's 9 a.m. here, it's 6 a.m. Pacific.
That's correct.
Thank you.
The next field, area description, represents the Craigslist site or location in which the listing was placed. So Seattle, Washington, D.C., in this case, Tampa Bay area. Sub-area description, some Craigslist sites are broken down into a small number of sub-areas. That is the case with the Tampa Bay area. I believe Pasco County, Pinellas County, Hillsborough, and Hernando are the 4, if I recall correctly. In this case, Pasco County is the sub-area chosen by the poster. The neighborhood field, again, in some Craigslist sites, a small number, we've broken down the listings into smaller neighborhoods for people. So in New York City and San Francisco, for instance, there are specific neighborhoods listed. That does not apply for the Tampa Bay area site, so you see NA listed there. The geographic area is a field presented in the posting process that's blank, that allows the person posting the ad to enter some information that gives the people who are looking at the ad an idea of where the listing is. In this case, the individual entered Hudson. Category description is the specific category that this listing was placed in. In this case, general for sale by owner. Category type represents the broader category that this listing was in. So examples might be housing, jobs, in this case, for sale / wanted. The price age field is representative of the number that the individual entered, intending to represent the price of the item that was being sold. The invoice item ID field is valid for paid listings. This particular listing is a free listing, so you see NA listed there. Privacy represents the choice that the poster made as far as how his or her email address would be displayed when the listing was visible to the public. Your choices would be no email address showing. The assumption is usually that there's information in the ad that would allow people to contact you. You can have your actual email address visible, and perhaps one of the more popular choices is the default anonymized email address, which you see here, which means that when the listing is publicly visible, people will not see the Matos adam6@gmail.com, but instead would see a Craigslist-based email address that allows people to send an email and then have that message forwarded directly to this user's email address. The posted state represents the state of this ad when the records were pulled. In this case, it is marked staff deleted. Posting title, blank field in the posting process that the user can enter information that would appear in the table of contents listings. And then posting body represents the information that the user entered in the body of their ad.
And would you tell us what the posting body is in this particular ad?
Posting body in this ad reads, puppies for sale, they have their shots, text or call 484-951-2687.
And then at the bottom of the page, there are 2 pictures of puppies. And then the particular record continues to the next page with 2 more pictures. Are these uploaded by the person who created the advertisement?
Yes.
And then just to clarify one thing, the posting state is staff deleted. Is that just because Craigslist has very particular rules about puppies or pets that are being sold?
I don't have any way of determining why this particular listing was removed. It could have been removed by an individual staff person or by an automated system, but in fact, the sale of pets is prohibited on Craigslist.
And then if you wouldn't mind flipping over to page 35 of that same document. Now, we won't go through every field on this one now that we've got a basic idea of what they mean, but we will go through a few of them. So this particular one, would you mind just telling us the posting body first?
The posting body reads, in perfect condition, works and sounds excellent, only used for 2 months a few times, comes with mount charger, 484-951-2687.
And it contains a photograph of what appears to be a small speaker. Is that fair?
Yes.
Now, what is the created and posted date of this particular advertisement?
The creation date for this listing is Friday, August 29th, 2014 at 9:27 and 59 seconds Pacific Time or 6:27 and 59 seconds Eastern Time. And the posted date was Monday, September 1st, 2014 at, I'm translating here, 2:46 p.m. Pacific Time, which is 5:46 p.m. Pacific Time. And just to correct, the creation time was actually 12:27 and 59 seconds p.m. Eastern Time.
And the poster email on this one?
The poster email address is matosadam6@gmail.com.
And the IP address, again, is?
The IP address is 68.200.111.86.
And the price on this particular speaker was listed for $75, is that correct?
Yes.
If you mind flipping to the next ad. It's on page 36 of 46. And would you read us the posting body?
The posting body reads, "In great condition, just a couple years old, the hinges on the windows turns on the lights with a tap of the finger. 484-951-2687.
And the photo attached to this appears to be a dark brown large entertainment center with a television in the center of it. Is that right?
Yes.
And would you mind going through some of this info at the top? This one was created on what date?
This post was created on Friday, August 29th, 2014.
And what is the email address associated with that?
The email address is matosadam6@gmail.com.
And the IP address?
The IP address is 68.200.111.86.
And is this one for sale for $250?
Yes.
Mind flipping to the next page, page 37. If again, if you wouldn't mind reading us the posting body.
The posting body for this ad reads, "TV works great. There is 2 small black circle on the TV, but works still. Comes with remote and power cable. 484-951-2687.
And the photo appears to be the same or a very similar photo to the previous one with the entertainment center and television. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And what is the posting date or the creation date of this particular ad?
The creation date for this ad is Friday, August 29th, 2014.
And the email that goes with this one?
The email for this post is matosadam6@gmail.com.
And if you wouldn't mind telling us the IP address one more time?
The IP address for this listing is 68.200.111.86.
And is this being sold for $100?
Yes.
If you would mind going to the next page, which is page 38. And if you wouldn't mind reading the posting body.
The posting body for this ad reads, "Dogs for sale. They had their shots and dewormed. 484-951-2687.
And when was this record created?
This record was created on Friday, August 29th, 2014.
And the email address associated with this record?
The email address is matosadam6@gmail.com.
And the IP address?
The IP address is 68.200.111.86.
And these puppies are being, or these dogs, I'm sorry, are being sold for $50?
That's correct.
And there are 2 pictures associated with this ad, is that correct? Nope, I'm sorry, there are 10 pictures associated with this ad. Is that correct?
That's correct.
2 on the first page, 8 on the second page. Sorry, 6 on the second page, and 2 on the third page.
That's correct.
If you not mind going to the next one, page 41. And would you read us the posting body on this one?
The posting body for this ad reads, "Puppies and adult dogs, they have their shots and dewormed. 484-951-2687."
And when was this advertisement created?
This ad was created on Monday, September 1st, 2014.
And what is the email address associated with this ad?
The email address is matosadam6@gmail.com.
And the IP address?
The IP address is 68.200.111.86.
And these puppies and adult dogs are being sold for $50?
Yes.
And on this one, there are, again, 8 pictures associated with the ad. 2 on the first page, 6 on the second page, and 2 on the third page again.
So a total of 10 pictures?
I keep getting the counting wrong, I think.
10 pictures, yes.
And if you'll go to page 44, would you read us the posting body?
The posting body reads, "Samsung tablet, Verizon 4G LTE and Wi-Fi, in perfect shape and works great, has screen protector and charger, 484-951-2687.
And there is a single picture attached to this ad of a tablet. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And what is the posting date or the creation date for this ad?
The creation date for this ad is Tuesday, September 2, 2014.
And what is the email address associated with this ad?
The email address for this ad is smithryan964@gmail.com.
And what is the IP address associated with this particular ad?
The IP address is 68.200.111.86.
And the price for this ad is it $80?
Yes.
And that IP address, is that the same IP address that we've had associated with the other ads that you've read out loud to us?
Yes.
We go now to the next page, which is page 45. And again, if you wouldn't mind reading the posting body.
The posting body for this ad reads, "Asus laptop in great condition and works great, comes with charger, 484-951-2687.
And there is a single photo of what appears to be a laptop computer, is that correct?
Yes.
And what is the creation date of this one?
The creation date is Tuesday, September 2, 2014.
And what is the email address associated with it?
The email address is smithryan964@gmail.com.
And what is the IP address?
The IP address is 68.200.111.86.
And again, that's the same IP address we had you read out loud for every ad.
Yes.
And this one, the Smith Ryan 964 ads that we've looked at, they have auth user phone as NA. Could you tell the jury what that means and how that's different from the other one that we had a minute ago with phone number listed in?
That means that this particular user was not requested to go through the phone authentication process as the previous user was that we looked at.
And we'll go to the next page. And again, if you wouldn't mind reading us the posting body.
The posting body reads, Bose SoundLink Mini in perfect shape and works perfect. The sound is amazing. Comes with charging dock and cable. Only owned for 2 months and used a few times. Original price is $200. Call 484-951-2687.
And there's only one photo associated with this ad, is that correct?
Yes.
And does this particular photo appear to be identical to the other Bose speaker ad that we previously looked at? Which is on page 35 of the document.
Yes.
And the page 46, on the new one we're looking at, would you tell us the creation date?
The creation date for this listing is Tuesday, September 2, 2014.
And the email address?
The email address is listed as smithryan964@gmail.com.
And the IP address?
The IP address is 68.200.111.86.
And then the price listed in the upper portion is $100, is that correct?
Yes.
And then the ad is consistent. Now, the next page in this document is 1 of 12, and it appears to be some of the same ads we've already looked at. Would you mind explaining to the jury why there's going to be duplication in the ads?
When we run a search for a phone number, we essentially run 2 different searches. One is for a user account that has that phone number associated with it through the phone authentication system, which we've talked about. And the other is whether that phone number appeared in the text of the listing. The batch shown here, records 1 through 12, are associated with an account that had the phone number identified in the subpoena as part of the phone authentication record. And the batch that consists of 46 pages represents posts that contain that phone number in the body of the ad. And so there may be some duplication where the user who used that phone number for phone authentication also put that phone number in the body of the ad.
And then the very last page in this packet is page 1 of 1. Would you just tell us again why this particular ad would be separate and repeated?
The subpoena that we received identified one specific post and the phone number that you mentioned earlier. This is the record for that one specific post.
Thank you, sir. I don't have any other further questions.
All right, Cross?
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, sir, thank you very much. You may
Thank
step
you.
down. Is he released from the subpoena?
He has applied.
Okay, any objections? All right, good luck, sir.
Thanks,
Thank
Your
you.
Honor.
Hope you make your flight. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our afternoon break. We've been going about an hour and a half now. Put your stuff away, and we'll give you your phones back, let you stretch your legs. We'll have you back at 3:50. No tweeting, texting, or logging. And all right, sir, raise your right hand. Be sworn by my clerk.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, so we're going to have you sit in the witness stand right here and speak in a loud and clear voice. Give the state a moment. They have to get some stuff together.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Could you please turn and introduce yourself to the jury?
My name's Alan McCann.
And Mr. McCann, do you know Ryan McCann?
I do.
How do you know him?
It's my brother,
And older or younger?
baby brother.
How much younger?
10 years.
Are you married?
Yes, I am.
What's your wife's name?
Lori McCann,
And where do you and Lori approximately live?
North Georgia.
Rural area?
Yes.
And where does Ryan live?
Here in Florida.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as 254. You recognize that?
Yes, sir.
You see Ryan's house on there?
Yes, I do.
Could you please point it out for us? You see Ryan's vehicle on there.
I do.
Where's that?
The white Ford.
There's another vehicle right next to the white truck. Whose vehicle is that?
That's my mother's vehicle.
And jumping ahead a little bit, after you visited, is your understanding she came to visit Ryan?
She came the weekend after I came, yes, sir.
And you see Ryan's boat on this photograph?
I sure do. Right back there.
Correct. Now, taking you back to August of 2014, going into September 2014, the Labor Day weekend, did you have plans to come and visit your brother Ryan here in Hudson?
Yes, sir.
And was it the first time you'd ever been down here to his
Yes,
residence?
sir.
Was it your understanding that he'd been living there for a long time or a short time?
No, a short time.
Did you leave North Georgia on Thursday, August 28, 2014, to travel down here?
I did.
What kind of time does it take you to get down here? Normally.
Approximately 8 to 9 hours.
Now, on August 28, 2014, did it take you a little longer than you expected?
Yes, it did.
What happened?
Had a flat tire.
Approximately where did you have the flat tire?
Probably about an hour and a half away from our destination.
All
My
right,
little
so
brother's house.
the boonies up in on 75 or 19, something like
Yeah,
that?
somewhere on 75. It was on I-75.
That delay you for a while?
Probably a good hour, hour and a half.
Yeah, you had to change the tire?
Yes, sir.
Did you have a full-size spare?
No.
You have to use a donut?
Yes.
Slow you down a little bit after the rest of the hour and a half?
Yes, sir. Didn't have enough air in it. Had to go find a gas station, get air.
Okay, and do you remember, when did you arrive at Ryan McCann's house?
We arrived at my little brother's house at 12:30.
And is that 12:30 going into August 29, 2014?
Yes, sir. 12:30 a.m.
And what'd you do when you arrived at your little brother's house?
I knocked on the door. Couldn't get no answer from my little brother, so I called him on the cell phone. He was in the back. He came to the front and greeted us.
Okay. And that time, 12:30, you're certain about that time?
Positive.
Now, when Ryan came around to greet you, did anyone else kind of come up?
Yes.
And can you describe that for the jury?
Adam came across from the house next door and came to the driveway to us.
And the house next door, would that have been, I'm holding up stage 33, would that have been that residence?
Yes, sir.
And you indicated Adam. Do you see Adam in the courtroom here today?
I do.
Can you please point him out and identify something he's wearing?
He's wearing the black suit over there on the end of the table.
And Judge, may the record reflect that the witnesses indicated the defendant?
So reflect.
Now, when you arrive, your little brother's out there, and then the defendant's out there, what's going on? You guys unloading?
Yes, sir. Greeting each other. I haven't seen my little brother in about a year and a half. He has a job, but he stays gone a lot. I was greeting him, getting reacquainted with him, hugging him, saying our hellos, and seeing his house for the first time.
Okay, and did he escort you and Lori into his house?
Yes, he did.
And what did this defendant do?
He came in the house with us.
Okay, was he specifically invited? Did you say, hey, come on back, or anything of that nature?
We all just kind of all walked in the house together.
And he followed you? Mm-hmm. Now, was he fully clothed at that time?
Yes.
He had a shirt on?
Yes.
And what did you do once you guys entered the house? Did you go to the back?
I brought my bags into the spare bedroom, came and sat at the kitchen table for a minute, and we proceeded to go outside to the back boat dock that you seen on the picture there.
Did you hang out with Ryan for a little while?
Yes, we did.
And did this defendant hang out with you at that point as well?
Yes, he did.
Approximately how long, if you remember?
Hour and a half, 2 hours maybe.
And then at some point you guys turn in,
Yes,
and defendant go back towards that residence next door,
yes,
and you guys went to sleep?
yes,
Now, the next day, Friday, August 29th, or I guess it would be the same day, right?
yes, sir.
I guess your first full day President Ryan's. What'd you guys do? What'd you and Ryan do?
We got up, took my car somewhere to get a tire put on it and dropped it off. Went to a bait shop and got some bait to go fishing. Got some lunch. Came back to the house to go out and go fishing.
Okay, and did you and Ryan and Lori all do that, go out on the boat fishing?
Yes, sir.
Now, do you recall approximately what time you guys got back?
Maybe 1:30, 2 o'clock, somewhere in that area.
Okay, is that back from fishing or is that back from?
That was back from going to get bait, dropping off the car, going to get lunch, and getting ready to go fishing.
Okay, so sometime after 1:30 you guys are going out fishing?
Yes, sir.
So you go out fishing, how long do you think you were out fishing for?
I don't know, till about 6, probably 6:30, something like that.
When you
7.
came back, what did you guys do? Did you go out to eat somewhere?
Yeah, we went to, I don't know the name of the place, it's right down the road, a little hole-in-the-wall bar. Had a couple beers and ate some food there and listened to somebody play some music there.
Okay. And when you got back Friday night, did you see this defendant at all?
Yes.
And what were the circumstances of that?
He came over and we drank some beers again on the back porch,
Okay.
on the back dock there.
Would that have been late at night or?
Yeah, probably about 12:30, 1 o'clock, something in that area.
Okay, so going into what would have been
Saturday morning, yes, sir.
Now, during this time, the first time you met this defendant and then this when you're seeing him the next day, or I guess the same day into the next day, Friday and Saturday, did he seem upset at all?
No, sir.
Was he crying?
No,
Did he seem depressed?
no,
Was there anything unusual about it, the way he was interacting?
nothing whatsoever.
Can he give you any indication there was anything wrong?
No.
So, end Friday night, you guys turn in for the night, as you go back towards the residence next door again?
Yes.
Saturday, would have been August 30th. You guys get up again, where do you go that day?
We
and
went
Ryan.
back out on the boat and went and played around on the ocean a little bit. Went to some island out there on the ocean, docked and played around on the island. Just regular stuff.
Okay. And when you came back, you know approximately what time it was, dinner time-ish?
We took the boat and went somewhere on the water to get something to eat. My little brother wanted to dock somewhere and get something to eat, so we went to this little club, bar, restaurant kind of deal. Got something to eat, and the storm was fixing to come up, so we brought the boat back home and went back because there was a band there that was going to play that night. We wanted to see them play.
And when you say you went back, did you go back by vehicle instead of by boat?
No, we took the boat home, got the boat home, got in the vehicle, and went back to the bar to watch the band.
And I forgot to ask you, so now we're on Saturday. Had you noticed any odd smells?
Yes, I did.
Now, sir, you ever do any hunting?
Yes,
You do a lot of hunting?
very much so.
And you live in a rural area, I think you already said, of Georgia.
Yes, sir.
You ever come across dead animals?
Yes, I do.
Do you know what that smells like?
Yes,
Now, when did you first notice the bad smell?
Friday morning.
And did you say something about it?
Yes, I did.
Who'd you say something to?
To my little brother.
Now, did the smell get worse on Saturday?
Yes,
A lot worse?
yes,
And how about Sunday?
even worse.
To get to the point where you decided to say something else to your little brother?
Yes, I did. On Sunday, I told my little brother we need to get a shovel and go down a dirt road. He told me that the dirt road beside his road, there was animals that lived out there, some deer and a family of bear. And I said, well, one must have got run over because that stench is terrible. We need to go grab some shovels and try to find it and put some dirt on it. get the smell to go away.
Hey, did you ever end up actually going out and trying to do that?
No.
All right, now, you distracted me. I'm going to go back to Saturday evening. So Saturday evening, you got back from the boat, went someplace to eat on the boat, came back, got your car, went back out to that place to see a band. Do you remember the band?
Gypsy Rain.
And were you there for a long time?
Yes.
Late into the evening?
Yes.
Approximately what time would that be?
I think we closed the place down maybe 1:30, 2 o'clock.
Okay. And that'd be early morning hours, so actually going into Sunday?
Sunday AM, yes.
Okay, so after that, you go back to Ryan's house,
Yes.
go to sleep,
Yes.
wake up the next day.
Yes.
What'd you guys do on Sunday?
Went fishing again.
And your brother kept you out on the boat all weekend, huh?
Well, we like fishing.
All right, I hope you caught some stuff.
We did.
All right, so Sunday you go out on the boat again. How long do you think you were out on the boat for?
Probably 6, 7 hours, 8 hours.
About what time you get home, you think?
Around dinner time.
And dinner time, did you go somewhere for dinner?
Yes, we did.
You go somewhere different?
Yes.
Do you happen to know where?
It was down on Hudson Beach. I think it was a place called Sam's or something of this nature.
Okay. And what happened towards the end of that? Were you going to stay, or were you going to go out to see another band? What were you going to do?
Well, we got done eating. It was probably around 10 o'clock, 9:30.
Did you have to use the facility, sir?
Yes, I had to use the facilities. And we went into I went to the bathroom at the restaurant, and it was just nasty.
Did you say that wasn't going to happen?
That wasn't going to happen. So I said, Ryan, bring me back to the house. I got to use the restroom, and then we'll decide what we're going to do from there.
So did you go back to Ryan's house?
Yes, we did.
All right. Once you got there, was there anybody else who was in that area?
Yes.
And who was that?
I seen Adam again that night.
And he came from that residence next door?
Yes.
And so did you guys end up going back out?
No, we were going to, but by the time I got done using the restroom, it was 10:30. I had to drive the next day to go back to Atlanta, to North Georgia. And I didn't really want to go out and close another bar down and have to drive the next day.
All right, so did you guys hang out at Ryan's instead?
Yes, we did.
Did this defendant hang out there with you?
Yes, he did.
Did he appear upset, depressed?
None.
You get any indication from him there was anything wrong?
Never. Just seemed like the boy next door, just somebody hanging out.
Now, did he participate a lot in the conversation?
I don't really recall that. We all were making small talk.
Okay.
I know we had established once upon a time during our conversations that me and my little brother are from New York, he was from Pennsylvania. Things of small nature like that, just small talk, sitting out drinking and having a good time, hanging out.
Did there ever come a point where the defendant said something or brought something up that you found to be unusual?
Yes, there was.
Could you describe for the jury the circumstances of that?
On Sunday night, the last night we were there, we were hanging out. And we were out there drinking. Me and my little brother were in a conversation, and just out of the blue came, Adam asked, "Do you have security here?" And I kind of was taken back by that and looked at my little brother, and I didn't know if he did or not, because it's a new house that he has. And he said, "Yeah, I have security here. I can look at everything in my house from my boat. I work all the time. I'm not at home. I can look at anything I want in my house."
Had you guys been talking about security systems,
No.
talking about break-ins, or talking about anything that might lead to that type of topic?
Nothing of that nature.
How long do you think you guys were out together that night? Or out on the back dock together that night?
Probably an hour and a half, 2 hours again.
Okay, and that smell was still pretty bad?
Real bad.
Now, evening breaks up, does Adam go back to that residence?
Yes, sir.
Next door, 7719 Hatters Drive?
Yes, sir.
And you and Ryan and Lori all go to sleep?
Yes.
Now, next day, Monday, September 1st, what were you doing?
Got up, said my goodbyes, and we took off to go home.
And that's back to North Georgia?
Yes.
All right, and when you were When you were down here with Lori, was it just the two of you who came?
Yes.
You didn't bring any kids or other
No.
brothers, sisters,
No,
nothing like that?
just me and my wife.
And Ryan, does he live at that residence by himself, or did he at that time?
He did at that time, yes.
Now, Monday when you left, did you still notice that smell?
Yes,
Was it same, worse, better?
bad.
In fact, how'd your car smell?
It was so bad it lingered in the car.
For how long up the road?
Seemed like forever.
Judge, may I have a moment?
Ready?
No more questions.
Cross?
I have no questions for this gentleman, Your Honor.
All right, sir, you may step down. Is he excused from his subpoena?
Yes, Judge.
Defense, any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Ken, you're excused from your subpoena.
Thank you, ma'am.
Jake, call your next witness.
Next call, Lori McCann.
Good afternoon, Ms. McCann. If you can step up to the podium for me. Right here. Yes, ma'am. You can stop, raise your right hand and be sworn by my clerk.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can come around and have a seat in the witness stand and speak in a loud and clear voice for me, okay?
Okay.
All right, state, you may proceed.
Could you please introduce yourself to the jury?
I'm Lori McCann.
Are you married to Alan McCann?
Yes, sir.
Are you any relation to Ryan McCann?
Yes, sir.
And what's your relationship to Ryan McCann?
He's my brother-in-law.
Okay. And since I think we may be having a Bill McCann testify later, you're no relation to Bill McCann, are you?
Not far as I know.
Okay. Now, Mrs. McCann, back on August 28, 2014, we've been getting towards Labor Day weekend. Did you travel down with your husband, Alan, to visit Ryan?
Yes, sir.
And you guys live in what general area?
North Georgia.
Long drive?
Yes, sir.
Any issues on your way down?
Yes, sir.
What happened?
We had a flat tire.
Delayed you a bit?
Yes.
You remember what time did you finally get to Ryan's house?
Around 12:30.
And that would have been 12:30 going into, actually, August 29th?
Yes, sir.
So just past midnight. When you got there, did Alan call Ryan to let Ryan know you guys were there?
Yes, sir.
And Ryan come out?
Yes.
And when Ryan came out and was greeting you guys, did anybody come from the house next door?
Yes, sir.
Who was that?
Adam.
Now, do you see Adam in the courtroom?
Yes, sir.
Could you please point him out and identify something he's wearing?
The blackish suit.
Judge, may the record reflect the witnesses indicated the defendant.
So reflect.
And I'm going to display stage 254. If you could, do you recognize Ryan's house on there?
Yes.
Where is it?
Right here.
And do you see Ryan's boat?
Yes. It's back here.
And do you know which car is Ryan's?
I'm thinking the white truck then.
Okay. And did Adam come from the other residence that's pictured in that?
Yes, he came from this residence.
And when he came over, did he say anything in particular?
I wasn't there every time he came over.
I'm just talking about the first time. Did he come over to introduce himself?
Ryan introduced him to us.
Okay. Was he saying help, help, anything like that?
No.
Did you see him upset or crying or anything
No,
of
sir.
that nature? Was he fully clothed?
Yes.
He had a shirt on.
Yes.
Did you notice anything else about his person?
He was sweaty. He was either sweaty or just gotten out of the shower. His hair was wet. He was perspiring. Like he was sweaty, yeah.
So he looked to be all wet to you?
Yes.
Now, did Adam hang out with Alan and Ryan for a little while that night?
Yes.
And so you guys go to sleep. Next day, you spend a good part of the day out on the boat with Ryan and Alan.
Yes, sir.
And the defendant's not involved in that, right?
No.
He never went out on the
He
boat
never
with
went
you.
on the boat with us.
You guys go out to eat that night. August 29th would be Friday, first night.
I believe so, yes.
Okay, and the defendant kept coming by and talking with the boys.
Yes, he came several times.
And I want to, well, then the next day, Saturday, you guys go out on the boat again.
Yes.
You go out to an island.
Yes.
I think we call that Amphote Island around here. Did you know that?
I did know.
Okay. And that night, did you get to see a band play?
I think it was Gypsy Rain.
You and Alan enjoyed the band a lot?
Yes.
You stay out really late that night?
Yes, we did.
Ryan was with you?
Yep.
Then you go home, you go to sleep?
Yep.
And the next day would be the last day you were going to be there. Did you guys go out on the boat again?
I'm trying to remember. I'm thinking we did.
Do you like boating as much as they do?
I liked it besides the storm we came through. I can't remember what night it was on, but after that I was like, I don't want to go no more.
Well, one of those days boating, was there a big storm that you guys hit?
Yeah,
Lots of rain?
yeah.
So during that time, late August of 2014, it was raining in that area. It's no surprise to any of us in Florida, but I don't know how it is in Georgia in August of. That night, Sunday night, did this defendant come over and hang out with the boys again for a period of time?
Yes, sir.
Was there a point during that you came and heard some of the conversation?
Yes, there was.
Did you hear the defendant ask or bring up anything unusual?
Yes.
And could you tell the jury what that was?
He asked Ryan, my brother-in-law, if he had surveillance video cameras. And my brother-in-law, Ryan, said, yes, I do. I'm gone 28 days out of the month. I've got it everywhere.
Okay. And you heard that brought up. Did that follow naturally from any of the conversation they were having, or was that out of the blue?
No, the boys were talking about when they were younger. It just come up, just got asked.
Fair to say that during this time period, you weren't really around much when Adam was there with the boys?
No, I wasn't.
Just a couple times here and there?
Yes.
And then the next day, Monday, you and Alan take off, go back home to Georgia?
Yep.
And to be clear, you and Alan, you're the only two who came down, right? You didn't bring any kids? or
No, we
nephews?
didn't bring no kids or nothing with us.
Okay. And Ryan, at the time, lived there by himself?
Yes.
Just a moment, Judge. No more questions, Judge.
Cross?
I have nothing, Your Honor.
All right, Mrs. McCann, thank you very much, ma'am. You may step down. State, is she released from her?
Yes, Judge.
Oh, that's okay. French, she's good to go?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
State, call your next witness.
State will call James Smith.
Good afternoon, sir. You want to step up to the podium for me?
Yes, ma'am.
You stop right there. Raise your right hand. Be sworn by my clerk.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right. Please have a seat in the witness stand and speak in a loud, clear voice for me. State, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Could you, defense, can you please turn and introduce yourself to the jury?
Hi, my name is James Smith.
Now, Mr. Smith, are you related to Deputy Thomas Smith, just because we already heard from him?
No,
I know Smith's a common name, but I figured I'd
very
bring it up.
common.
Now, Mr. Smith, I want to bring you back to August 29th of 2014. You ever use Craigslist?
Yes,
At the time, were you using it on a fairly regular basis?
yes.
And what'd you do with Craigslist?
Well, back then I was in the business of buying and reselling electronics, whatever I can do to make a few dollars. Televisions, PlayStations, anything if it needs to be fixed, I'd fix it, resell it. Just something to earn some money for a living.
Now, on August 29, 2014, did you see an ad on Craigslist for a TV that sparked your interest?
Yes, was on, I think it was like 1 o'clock, something like that, and came across a 50-something inch TV for $100. Anybody who knows about TVs knows that's a good deal. You know, so of course I respond to it.
Now, I'm going to show you an ad. Find it.
Is that from States 565?
This is states, yes, 565. Page 37. Does that look like the ad that you saw on Craigslist? I know it would be formatted differently, but
Yes, I can tell by the entertainment center that was there with the TV as well. Yes, that was the one.
and was there a number on there to call or text in order to
Yes, there
communicate
was.
about that?
Yes, there was.
And did you want to act on that pretty quick because of the price?
Oh yeah. When you see prices like that for TVs for $100, you jump on it as quick as you can.
And what was your phone number at the time?
My phone number is the same number I have currently, is 727-484-8984.
I'm going to display states 593, page 28. I'm sorry, you said 727-484-8984?
That's correct.
All right. And you agree with me that your phone number does appear on the records I'm displaying around on August 29, 2014, around 1:30,
That's correct.
and a couple times surrounding that. So communicate with the person on the other end of the ad,
Yes.
and you get an address to go to check it.
Yep, gave me an address, and of course, I called up one of my friends, and we went straight there. It was my roommate at the time, and I woke him up and said, hey, let's go check out this TV.
Okay, and who was that? Who was your roommate?
Brandon Derry.
And about what time did you end up going to the residence?
I think we got there roughly right around 2 o'clock.
Now, do you remember what the residence looks like?
Yes, I do.
Could you please describe it for the jury?
Well, I remember the stairway. I don't remember exactly what the house entailed, but I remember walking up steps, maybe 20 steps or whatever it was. I seen an RV parked outside, looked like an older RV type of style. Walked up, knocked on the door.
I'm going to display states 33 for identification. Is that the residence you went to?
Yes, it is. Except the other garage door was closed, obviously.
Okay. Can you describe, when you went up to the door, did Brandon come with you?
Yes.
You guys knock on the door?
Yes, sir.
Can you describe what happened next?
After we knocked on the door, a gentleman came out. I said, I'm here to look at the TV. He says, okay, can I bring it out to you on the front porch? I can't see something on the front porch if there's no plug outlet. I want to be able to see this thing turn on. I want to make sure it is as described as it is on the ad. He returned back with, can I bring it on the front porch? You know, I'm like, well, why can't I just come in and see it working, you know? He said the house is a mess. He doesn't want nobody inside. I said, okay. So I told him to give me a minute and walked back down the steps. I think I was parked, I think I was in the driveway at that time. So I walked downstairs, talked to my buddy Brandon. We got in the car and I said, look, I said, something ain't right. I said, I don't want this thing. If I can't see it running, I don't want this TV.
Okay. And did you actually leave before telling him you were leaving?
No. He called me back on the phone and texting me as well, saying, you want the TV? And I said no.
Okay.
And he even tried lowering the price down as well.
So what?
I think it was like $70 or something like that, I believe.
Okay.
Just anything to try to get me back there to buy it. Seemed really desperate for money and...
Well, without going into too much of that now, the person that answered the door, did you see anybody else other than the person that answered the door in the residence? See any movement at all from any people?
No, people, just some little dogs.
So no indication that there was anybody else present?
No.
Now, at some point, did you contact law enforcement when you saw the news about this?
Yeah, it was about a week later, sitting at the house, laying in bed. My friend
I
Brandon.
don't want to go into too many details,
Okay.
but you called law enforcement?
Yes, I called law enforcement, correct.
Okay, and did they come out and talk to you?
Yes,
And did they present you with a group of photographs?
correct.
Judge, what's the next number? 594?
Yes. 594.
I'm showing states 594 to, Mr. Smith, I'm showing you it's been marked as states 594. Have you seen this before?
Yes, I have.
And was that presented to you back on September 12th of 2014?
Yes, sir, it was.
And is it a group of photographs?
Yes, it was.
And out of those photographs, were you able to recognize the individual who answered the door and was selling the TV?
Yes, I was.
And did you pick that person out in the photograph?
Yes, I did.
And did you circle that person? And, you know, is it numbered page number 2 on there, the person that you selected?
Yes, sir.
Now, that person that answered the door, do you see that person in the courtroom here today?
Yes, I do.
Could you please point him out and identify something he's wearing?
The black jacket, and he's writing on a notepad.
Judge, may the record reflect the witness has indicated the defendant.
It will so reflect.
And Judge, I would like to admit states 594 into evidence.
Any objection? All right, 594 will come in.
Now, back when you saw the defendant on August 29th of 2014, about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, was he clean shaven like he is today?
No, his beard was a lot more fuller than it even was in the picture.
Judge, may I have a moment?
You may.
I don't have any questions, Judge. Well, I'm sorry, one more question. Was there any other day or any other time or any other reason that you came to this house, 7719 Hatter
No.
Drive, or interacted with Adam Matos?
No, sir.
I don't have any more questions now, Judge.
Nothing, Your Honor.
Okay, no questions?
No questions.
All right, Mr. Smith, you may step down. Thank you, sir. Is he released from his subpoena? State?
He is, Judge.
Defense, you're okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Smith, thank you very much. You're released from your subpoena.
Thank you.
State, call your next witness.
State would call Brandon Derry.
Derek?
Derry.
Derry.
D-E-R-R-Y.
Brandon Derry. Good afternoon, Mr. Derry. If I can have you step up to the podium right here. Stop right there, raise your right hand, and be sworn by my clerk.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, sir, we can have you have a seat in the witness stand and speak in a loud and clear voice for me. State, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Defense, could you please introduce yourself to the jury?
My name is Brandon Derry.
And I want to take you back to August 29th of 2014. What was your living situation back then? Who were you living with?
I live with my fiance, my 2 children, and my roommate, James.
And that's James Smith?
Yeah, James Smith.
You just pass him on his way out of the courtroom?
Yeah.
Back on August 29th, 2014, was James doing a lot of buying and selling on Craigslist?
Yeah, because he was also doing some storage lockers, stuff like that, so.
And on August 29th, 2014 in particular, about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, did he ask you to go with him to go look at a TV?
Yeah, somewhere around like 1:30, 2 o'clock.
Okay. That time period though, because did you have to be back somewhere by 2:30?
Yeah, I pick up my kids.
At 2:30?
No, they were like right at 3:30 when they got out.
Okay. And was it up in Hudson that you guys went?
Yeah,
And did you go to a residence?
yeah.
You remember what the residence looks like?
Yeah, they were nicer houses, you know, it was set up, you had to walk up 15, I don't know, like 15 stairs, something, all the way up
two-car garage, nice house.
I'm displaying states 33 for identification. You recognize that?
Yeah,
Is that the house you went to with
Yeah.
James?
Yeah,
August
that's the
29,
house.
2014? And can you describe for the jury, when you went to the door and knocked or rang, anybody answer?
yeah, a man, and there were some dogs running around,
Okay.
some puppies.
Now, can you describe for the jury what happened once the man answered?
He answered, James said, I'm here by the TV, and James said, can I come in and look at it? And he was pretty adamant about carrying it to the door for him.
Is that kind of unusual, because you want to see what the TV looks like when it turns on?
Yeah, I mean, that's, I'd want to, if I was buying it, I'd have to see it work.
Okay. And did he not want to let you inside? He wanted to bring it out onto the porch?
Yeah, we didn't get to go in. He didn't want us in, we didn't go in.
Okay. Now, in terms of that person, other than that person, was there anybody else, people-wise, that you saw?
No, they're just dogs.
Small dogs?
Yes.
And based on the way that was going with him not wanting you to come in and see the TV, James decided to buy the TV or not?
Yeah, we went down to his car to talk about it, and because he told the guy he wanted to think about it for a second. We went down to the car, and I told him I wouldn't. You can't look at it, you can't see it. Why would you buy it?
So did you leave without getting the TV?
Yeah, we left. We didn't say we were leaving or anything. We just left.
Okay. Now, a week and a half after that, did law enforcement officers contact you about this?
First off, I don't know if it was quite a week and a half. It was right around that. A week later, we came home from bowling on a Thursday night, and I happened to be seeing an Amber Alert, and then.
So you saw the news and.
Yeah, and I looked it up, and then I seen the address.
Yeah,
and then,
I don't want to go into too many details about that, but you saw stuff on the news
yeah, I
about
seen
this
stuff on the
residence.
news.
And you guys contacted law enforcement?
Yeah, James did that from that point.
And eventually a detective came out and spoke with you guys?
Yes.
And I've already shown defense counsel, I think I'm on 596, Judge.
595? $595.
Already shown defense counsel, State's Exhibit 595 for identification. And Mr. Derry, on September 16th, 2014, did law enforcement come and talk to you and ask you to look through a group of photos?
Yes.
And have you seen this particular document before, State's
Yeah.
595?
Yes.
And is that your signature down there?
Yes.
Was that your signature there?
Yes.
Page 2. And did you look through these photos?
Yes.
Were we asked to pick out the person that answered the door who was on the TV?
Yeah.
And did you do that?
Yes.
And you circle it and put your initials and sign that page as well?
Yes.
And the person that you picked out, was that on page 3 of this document, or the page that's labeled page number 3?
Yes. This is it.
Okay. And that person, the person that you bought, or that James went to possibly buy a TV from and re-enter the door at that residence, do you see that person in the courtroom here?
Yeah.
Can you please point him out and identify something he's wearing?
Black jacket.
Judge, may the record reflect the witnesses indicated the defendant?
Will so reflect.
Judge, I'd ask to move stage 595 into evidence.
Any objection?
Yes, Judge. Okay, approach.
Sure. The objection will be overruled. Stage 595 will come into evidence.
Permission to publish, Judge?
You may.
I don't have any more questions for this witness, Judge.
All right. Cross?
Did you make the ID from the car? Or did you? You were in the car the whole time, right?
No, I went up to the door with him. I was going to help him carry the TV.
Okay. No question. No more questions.
Anything further, State?
No, Judge.
All right, sir, you may step down. State, is he released from subpoena?
Yes, Judge.
All right. Defense, any objection?
No, Your Honor.
All right, sir, you're free to go. Thank you very much.
No problem.
State, call your next witness.
Yes, Your Honor. The state would call Patrick Duarte.
You want to have me spell that last name.
I will do it. I can spell it for the court. It's D-U-A-R-T-E.
D-U-R.
D-U-A-R-T-E.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Mr. Duarte. If you can have you step right up here to the podium for me. You can stop right there, raise your right hand and be sworn by my clerk.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, please have a seat in the witness stand and speak in a loud and clear voice. Thank you. State, you may proceed.
Thank you. Good afternoon, sir. Could you please turn to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, introduce yourself by stating your name?
Patrick Duarte.
Mr. Duarte, how do you spell your last name?
D-U-A-R-T-E.
And Mr. Duarte, where do you live?
I live in Mount Dora, Florida.
All right, and just for those that may not know, where is that in relation to Pasco County?
About 2 hours away.
All right. And what do you do for a living?
Now I own a pet shop.
A pet shop.
Yes, sir.
Back in 2014, what did you do?
I wholesale cars.
All right. I'd like to focus your attention to the end of August, beginning of September 2014.
Yes,
Were you
sir.
living in Mount Dora during that time frame?
No, I was living in Altamont Springs.
All right. And that's a suburb of Orlando?
It's about 30 minutes from Mount Dora.
Okay. Are you familiar with Pasco County?
Yes.
And how so?
Well, my ex-wife's family used to live in Newport Richey.
All right, so you've been here before, somewhat familiar with the area.
Yes, sir.
During this time frame of 2014, did you search or look at Craigslist?
Yes, sir.
And specifically, back in August of 2014, were you surfing Craigslist for dogs?
Yes, sir.
Did you come across an ad that piqued your interest?
Yes, I did.
Can you tell the jury about that?
I saw an ad for some puppies, and I contacted him and proceeded to go pick up the puppies.
All right, this ad, did it have photographs associated with it?
No.
Okay. Do you recall whether or not about the price of the dogs in the ad?
I'm not sure about the price in the ad. I know we negotiated a price. I'm not sure about the price in the ad.
All right. The price that you guys discussed and negotiated, based on your experience, was that a fair price?
Yes, sir.
Was it a low price for the dogs that you were looking at?
I felt it was, yes.
Okay. In fact, your intention was to buy more than one dog.
Yes, sir.
Tell the jury how many dogs you were looking at.
Anywhere from 2 to 4. He said he had 10 puppies.
Okay. And do you recall when you would have initiated this discussion with the individual through Craigslist? As to what day? Do you recall the day?
Yeah, it was a Friday, August 29th.
Okay. Of 2014.
Yes, sir.
The Craigslist ad, it had a phone number associated with it?
Yes, I believe so.
And ultimately, through the communication you have with this Craigslist ad, you use your cell phone to contact that person's cell phone.
Yes, I did.
All right. Let me just kind of fast forward a minute in time. Sometime after this, you get involved with law enforcement as far as the things we're about to discuss, correct?
Yes, sir.
And in doing so, you explained to them that you used your cell phone to contact this individual.
Yes, sir.
Did you provide your cell phone to law enforcement?
Yes, I did.
And to your knowledge, did law enforcement access your cell phone to retrieve the text messages that you may have shared with this individual?
Yes, they did.
Okay. In fact, have you had an opportunity to kind of review some of those?
Yeah.
Today?
Yes, yes, sir.
All right. Were those accurate as to the cell phone communications that you remember?
Yes, they were.
All right. And back in 2014, what was your cell phone number?
407-280-8785.
As you see it today, that's not your number. Is that correct?
No, sir.
All right. And you used your cell phone to communicate with this individual.
Yes, I did.
And based on the communications, did you decide to get up and drive over to Pasco County?
Yeah.
All
Yes,
right.
sir.
And how many dogs were you planning on purchase in that initial?
Initially 3, it ended up being 4.
All right. So your plan was 3. But ultimately, you end up purchasing 4.
Yes, sir.
All right, and you indicated you negotiated price.
Yep.
Do you remember what price you negotiated?
Yeah. Originally, I believe it was supposed to be $50 a dog, and then I was told to pick up some cigarettes, so we negotiated down to $160 for 4.
All right, let's talk about that. During your trip, I guess how long of a drive is it from Altamont to Pasco?
A little over 2 hours.
All right. In that drive time, are you communicating back and forth with the individual?
Yes, I was.
All right. And just so we're clear, you didn't know this person, right?
No, sir.
Did your communications with him include text and voice conversations?
Yes, sir.
All right. You mentioned some cigarettes. How did cigarettes come involved in this conversation?
He called me and said he didn't have a vehicle, if I can stop and pick him up some Camel cigarettes on the way.
All right. He was specific as to the type that he wanted?
Camel menthol.
Camel menthol?
Yes, sir.
All right. And did you do that?
Yes, I did.
In fact, did you use that as part of your, I guess, part of your negotiation as it relates to the
I told him
price?
we'll deduct it off the dogs.
Okay. Do you remember, did he give you an address?
Yes, sir.
Do you guys discuss that in the text messages?
Yes, sir.
All right. For the record, I'm going to show defense counsel what's been marked as Exhibit 596.
You need to approach.
Nope, we got it, Judge. Okay, appreciate it.
596.
596.
Any objection?
Well, let me just start to the...
Okay.
Mr. Duarte, I'm going to take a second, and it's a multiple pages. It starts in the back. This is a document we reviewed today, correct?
Yes, sir.
This shows the back and forth text messages between you and the individual you found on Craigslist, correct?
Yes, sir.
And at the top of the page, is there a phone number associated with the text messages that you received?
Yes, sir.
Could you read that for us?
484-951-2687.
Okay. And this chain indicates the negotiation for price, dogs, and location, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Your Honor, at this time, the state would seek to admit 596 as the next item of evidence.
Any objection?
No objection.
All right, 596 is in, it's 596.
All right, let's just kind of move through it. The very first conversation is the last one in the page. What date and time was that conversation at?
August 29th, 2014, at 2:40.
No.
Or 12:40, I'm sorry.
Okay. And that would have been the initial reach out, and between then you negotiate price, cigarettes, and ultimately go to a location, correct?
Yeah, over the course of the conversation, yes, sir.
Do you remember arriving at a home in Pasco County?
Yes, sir.
Could you just give us a description of the home to the best of your memory?
I remember it being a large home. I remember there being an RV out front.
All right. Did you text that individual to let him know that you were there?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's refer to, this is the second page, and this is a text message sent from you that says, "Hi, I'm here."
Yes, sir.
You see that?
Yes, I do.
When was that text message sent?
At 4:11 on August 29th.
Okay. And when you arrived, tell us what happened when you arrived.
He came outside and met me outside. I gave him his cigarettes. He showed me the puppies. I asked if there was any other ones I can see. I went to follow him inside. He said, "Wait outside." So I waited outside. He came out. We talked for a while. I asked why he was selling them so inexpensive, and he kind of laughed and said him and his girlfriend were having problems. They need the money.
Okay.
And we just talked about the puppies. I picked the puppies that I wanted. We talked for a little bit. And I said, if you're ever in Orlando, you can come by, and that was it.
Okay. And did you leave the residence not too long after that?
Yes, sir.
All right. And was that the last text conversation you had with that individual?
No, sir.
Okay. Tell the jury about some of the later conversations that you may have had.
I'm not sure if it was that night or the next night. We talked about some other dogs he had, and he wanted me to come that night. He said it had to be that night if I wanted the dogs, and ultimately I decided not to go.
Here, let me show you what this, again, this exhibit states 596.
It was
I'm gonna reference
8:31. it started.
right? You were there at that day on...
8:29.
Okay. And then there were some text messages you exchanged on 8:31. It looks like you asked if there were more
Yeah.
puppies.
He said a couple, yes, sir.
Okay. Then now on 9/1/2014, you're indicating, you're talking about pictures and still negotiating on dogs.
Yes, sir.
This conversation, you said that there was one where you were interested in dogs, but he indicated it had to be that night, correct?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to reference you to, I guess, this message right here. Can you read the date and time?
It was September 1st, 2014 at 6:07.
Okay. And what did the text say?
It says it has to be tonight because I have other buyers.
Okay. And after that, did you intend on buying more puppies?
After that, I ultimately decided not to go.
Bless you. You did not buy any more puppies?
No, sir.
Okay. After a few days of past after you had the dogs, did you, well, I don't believe that's a question for you. So, allow me to have 1 minute, Your Honor.
You may.
Right, Judge. Thank you. No further questions.
Ross?
Very briefly. You were outside smoking a cigarette for a few minutes on the front porch?
Yeah, I was outside with him. I handed him his cigarettes.
Okay.
Sir.
And you were out there for a number of minutes, and you said something about if you ever come to Orlando, stop by or something.
Yeah, it was just normal conversation.
One more question.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
All right, sir, you may step down.
Thank you.
Is he released from the subpoena?
Yes, Your Honor.
Spence, is he released?
Yes, sir.
All right, sir, you're free to go back to
Thank you.
Mount Dora. Thank you very much. State, call your next witness.
They would call Paige Steele.
Good afternoon, Ms. Steele. You want to step up to the podium for me? Stop right there. Raise your right hand and be sworn by my clerk.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you step around to the witness stand and speak in a loud and clear voice for me, okay? State, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Could you please turn and introduce yourself to the jury?
I'm Paige Steele.
And Ms. Steele, I want to take you back to August of 2014. Where were you living at that time?
Hernando Beach.
County north of here?
And yes.
And had you recently moved to that area?
Yeah.
Or moved
Like,
back to that area?
yeah, just around this 2000 beginning.
Now,
Ms.
specifically,
Steele, you might have to speak up
Oh.
and move the microphone a little closer.
Okay.
Because your voice is trailing off. State, you may proceed.
thank you, Jeff. Specifically, August 29th, 2014, were you looking on Craigslist for a dog?
Yes, sir.
And why in particular? Any reason?
Because I moved, I needed a friend.
And did your dad have certain rules on what kind of dog you could get?
Only a small one.
Okay. Not a lot of hair?
Only real hair, like not dog hair, but
Okay. And did you go on Craigslist and see any ads?
yes.
And I'm going to display page 565 for you. Did you see an ad similar to this?
Yes, sir.
Does this look familiar, these pictures?
Yes, sir.
And did you respond to that ad?
Yes, sir.
Call the number or text the number on that ad?
I texted the number.
And did you set up a time, or did you set up a point where you were going to meet up at a certain address in order to buy a dog?
Yes, sir.
And approximately what time of the day were you communicating with the other person at the end of that ad?
Between noon and 3 p.m.
And do you remember what was your phone number at that time?
734-217-7125.
All right, I'm going to display states 593, page 26 of 36. And I believe you said 734-217-7125?
Yes, sir.
Would you agree with me, looking, can you see to your right, that your number appears
Yes,
in this record
Yes.
about 11:30 on this particular document?
Yes.
And you have multiple back and forth phone contacts with that, with the number at the other end of this ad?
Yes, sir.
And ultimately, you decided to go to that residence that they were selling it at.
Yes.
Approximately what time do you think that was?
Between 4 and 4:30 p.m.
Okay. Did you take anybody with you when you went?
My father.
I'm showing you States Exhibit 33 for identification. You recognize that?
Yes, sir.
What is that?
That is the house I picked my dog up from.
Okay. You still have that dog?
I do.
And can you describe when you got there, what'd you do?
I texted him that I was there, walked up to the house, and he came out with the dogs.
Okay. And the person that came out, was it one male who came out?
Yes, sir.
Did you see any other people there?
No, sir.
Were there a lot of dogs?
Very much so.
And can you describe when the person answered the door, can you describe the manner in which the person interacted with you?
He just kind of slid out the door, like cracked it and slid out with the box of dogs.
Okay. Did he didn't invite you guys to go inside and look at him?
No, sir.
And did you select a dog?
I did, yes.
Was there much conversation?
Not very much.
How much did you pay for the dog?
$50.
Was that a good price for that type of dog?
Very much.
Type of price you drive a distance away from in order to get?
Yes, they're usually $200 dogs.
Now, subsequent to that, did law enforcement come to see you about a week and a half later?
Yes, sir.
Okay, regarding your purchase of that dog?
Yes.
And Judge, at this time, I'd like to try the defense, what's been pre-marked as State's Exhibit 597 for identification.
You may approach.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Steele, I'm showing you States 597 for identification. Have you seen this before?
Yes, sir.
Is that your signature there on the first page? Or I'm sorry, on the second page?
Yes.
And it's dated September 8th, 2014?
Yes.
And did you look through these photographs?
Yes, I did.
And were you able to select the person that sold you the dogs?
Yes, I was.
And did you circle the photograph of that person and sign the page and put your initials on it?
Yes, I did.
And the page that you picked, is it numbered or labeled page number 4?
Yes, sir.
Now that person that sold you your dog, do you see that person in the courtroom here today?
Yes, sir.
Could you please point him out and identify something he's wearing?
A black suit with a tie.
And could you please point to him?
Right there.
And Judge, may the record reflect the witnesses indicated the defendant.
So reflect.
And Judge, I'd like to move State's Exhibit 597 into evidence.
Defense, any objection? 597 will come in.
I don't have any more questions at this time, Judge.
Defense, any questions?
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Steele, you may step down.
Thank
you,
you.
ma'am, for coming. Is she released from her subpoena?
She is, Judge.
Defense, you okay with that?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, ma'am, you're released.
Thank you.
State, call your next witness.
State would call Brett Steele.
Good afternoon, Mr. Steele. If you can step to the podium for me. You stop right there, raise your right hand and be sworn by my clerk.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, sir, we'll have to step into the witness stand and speak in a loud and clear voice for me. Okay, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge, defense. Could you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Hi, Brett Steele.
Are you related to Paige Steele?
I'm her father.
Now, back on August 29, 2014, was Paige living up in Hernando Beach with you?
Yes,
And was she looking for a dog?
we were.
And do you have rules about what kind of dog she could get?
Had to be small and didn't have no shedding, so it had to have hair.
And on August 29, 2014, a Friday, did you go with her in response to a Craigslist ad she found?
I did.
And you drove her? You drove with her?
Oh yeah, I drove her. Yes.
You're a father, you weren't going to let her go off someplace by herself?
No, not at 17.
Okay. And did you come to the residence that in response to the ad?
Yes.
In Hudson?
Yes.
And on displaying stage 33, you recognize that?
That's the home.
That's the place that you went with your daughter?
We did. Yes.
And can you describe, did you go up to the front door?
We did.
Can you describe what happened when you went up to the front door?
Knocked on the front door, and a gentleman came to the front door, and we said we were here to check out the dogs, and he said, okay, let me bring them out. The house is a mess. So he brought them out in like a box, like a plastic box, and
So he didn't invite you to come in?
no, he said the house was a mess.
Okay. And did your daughter purchase a dog?
We did.
And did you ever go back there or deal with that person ever again?
No.
All right. I don't have any more questions, Judge.
Any questions?
Nothing.
All right. Mr. Steele, you may step down. Is he released from his subpoena?
He is.
Ben, you okay with that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Sir, you're free to go. Thank you. I've already released your daughter. You
Thank
guys
you.
came together, so you're good to go.
Appreciate it.
State, call your next witness.
State would call Michael Hall.
Good afternoon, Mr. Hall.
Yes.
Do you want to step to the podium for me? You stop right there, raise your right hand and be sworn by the clerk.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, please take the witness stand, speak in a loud and clear voice for me.
Mr. Court.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Defense counsel. Could you please turn and introduce yourself to the jury?
Michael Hall.
And Mr. Hall, I want to take you back to August of 2014. What were you doing for work at that time?
Delivering pizza.
For who?
Pizza Hut.
And where was the Pizza Hut located?
At the Little and 52 in Hudson.
And I want to talk to you in particular about one order that you went out to deliver. On August 29th, Friday, at about 6:30, 6:45 in the afternoon, did you deliver a pizza to 7719 Hatteras Drive?
I did.
Is that an area that you've been to very frequently?
Yes.
An area that usually you interact with what type of age group?
Mostly, I would say, above 40.
Okay. And this particular pizza delivery was a younger person that you dealt with?
Yes, sir.
And I'm going to show you States 33. Recognize that?
Yes, sir.
Is that the residence that you delivered pizza to on August 29, 2014 at about 6:30, 6:45 in the afternoon?
It is, sir.
And when you went to deliver pizza, did you knock on the door or ring the bell?
Yes, sir.
And somebody answer?
Yes, sir.
You describe basically who answered. Was it a male, female, child, adult?
Younger male.
And that person that answered the door, aside from him, did you see anybody else in the residence?
No, sir.
Is see anybody else moving? Anything else moving?
A couple various dogs.
Small dogs?
Yes, sir.
Now, you gave him the pizza and he gave you whatever payment or the transaction concluded?
Yes, sir.
Anything unusual about it?
Didn't seem to be too out of the ordinary, a little on the empty side.
Now, about a week and a half later, did law enforcement come and talk to you about that particular pizza delivery?
They did.
And I'm going to show States Exhibit 598 to the defense counsel. Okay. Mr. Hall, I'm going to show you States 598. I'm going to flip it to page 2. Have you seen this before?
Yes, sir.
Is that your signature on page 2?
It is.
And is that your writing on above your signature indicating that you've selected a person?
Yes.
And the reason that you selected the person?
That's the person that I recognized from the delivery that evening.
Okay. And you looked through this group of photographs?
Yes, sir.
And were you able to identify within these photographs the individual that you had delivered pizza to on August 29, 2014 around 6:30 in the afternoon?
Yes, sir, I did.
And did you circle that photograph and put your initials on it and sign underneath it?
Yes, sir.
And is that the person that you identified, is that labeled page number 5 in this particular package?
Yes, sir, it is.
Judge, at this time, so would like to move State's Exhibit 598 into evidence.
Any objection? 598 will come in.
And that person that you delivered pizza to on August 29, 2014 at about 6:30, 6:45 in the afternoon, do you see that person in the courtroom here today?
I do, sir.
Can you please point him out and identify something he's wearing?
Appears to be black suit to the left side of the defense table.
And Judge, may the record reflect the witness has indicated the defendant.
It will so reflect.
I don't have any more questions, Judge.
Cross?
No questions, Judge.
All right. Paul, you may step down as he releases the subpoena.
He is, Judge.
Defense? All right, Mr. Hall, you're free to go. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
State, call your next witness.
Yes, Your Honor. State will call Uriel Carmenate.
Good afternoon, Mr. Carmenate. You want to step up to the podium for me? Stop right there, raise your right hand, and be sworn by my clerk.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, sir, can you have a seat in the witness stand, speak in a loud and clear voice for me? State, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, sir. Could you please turn to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, introduce yourself by stating your name?
Hello, my name is Uriel Carmenate.
And Mr. Carmenate, could you spell your first name for the court reporter?
Y-A-R-I-E-L.
And could you spell your last name, sir?
C-A-R-M-E-N-A-T-E.
Mr. Carmenate, where do you live?
Spring Hill, Florida.
And what do you do for a living?
X-ray tech.
All right. I'd like to focus your attention back to August of 2014. You still living in Spring Hill at that time?
Yes.
And do you recall having a conversation with your mother? I'm not going to get into the details of that conversation, but it was a conversation involving dogs.
Yes.
All right. At the time, did you live with your mother?
Yes.
All right. Your mother, what's her name?
Yvonne.
Yvonne Carmenate?
Yes.
Does she speak English or Spanish?
Understands English but speaks Spanish primarily.
All right. Based on a conversation about dogs and Craigslist, did your mom indicate to you that she was receiving a phone call from an unknown number?
Yes.
All right. And you recall the date of that conversation or that phone call came in?
August 31st.
Of 2014?
Correct.
Do you happen to remember the phone number of that unknown call?
No.
All right. Did you prepare a written statement close in time to August the 31st of 2014 where you made a specific note about that?
Yes.
All right. Would it refresh your memory to see that?
Yes, it will.
Can I approach the witness, Your Honor?
You may.
Can I approach the witness?
Yes, you may.
All right, Mr. Carmody, I'm going to ask you to look at this piece of paper. Is that your handwriting?
Yes, it
And
is.
is that your signature at the bottom?
It is.
All right, did you make a particular note about the phone call, the phone number, forgive me, related to this phone call?
Yes,
All right, and did you in fact speak with the person on the other end of the line?
I did.
Could you tell us the phone number that you noted?
848-951-2687.
All right, and did you have a conversation with the person, you personally, on the other end
Yes.
of that line?
Yes,
And based on that conversation, did you guys agree to go and purchase dogs?
correct.
And I said you, it would be you and your mom, correct?
Yes, we did.
All right, as part of that conversation, was there a discussion about an address?
Yes, there was.
And what was the address that you guys were to go to?
7719 Hatteras Drive in Hudson near Old Dixie Highway.
Are you familiar with that area?
Yes.
So you knew how to get there?
Yeah,
And did you and your mom in fact go to that address?
we did.
All right, this is a residential street?
Yes.
And when you arrived, did you and your mom get out of your car to approach the house?
Yes, we did.
When you got out of your car, was there something of particular note that you may have smelled when you got out of the car?
Yeah, very foul smell.
All right. At that time, back August the 31st, 2014, were you familiar with that smell?
No,
Had you ever smelled anything like that before?
nothing like that.
Would you agree with me that it was a unique smell?
Yes, it.
All right. How would you describe the smell?
Just rotten and foul.
All right. Do you approach the front door of the house?
Yes, we did.
All right. And when you get to the front door, do you guys knock or ring a doorbell to let them know you're there?
We knocked.
All right. And did someone come to the door?
Yes.
Can you give me a description? Was this a man or a woman?
Male.
All right. And was he holding anything?
A puppy and a towel.
All right. The puppy and the towel, did it appear to have been recently bathed?
Yes.
All right. And was that kind of the conversation as to why it was wrapped up in a towel?
Yes.
Can you give me just the best description you can of this individual?
Dark skin, kind of maybe Latino looking.
Okay.
I believe he had a beard at the time.
All right. Besides this individual, was there any other person that you had contact with from the residence?
Yes, a little boy.
All right. Tell us about the interaction with the little boy.
We were at the front door of the house and it had clear windows to look through, and the little boy steps behind the man and then waves, who was wearing Spider-Man underwear, and then kind of just stood off in the back of the hallway.
All right. Did you and your mother ever go into the residence?
No.
All right. And you guys were there to purchase a dog. Did you in fact purchase a dog?
Yes, we did.
When you took, I guess, possession of the dog, how did the dog smell?
Terrible.
All right. And what did you do with that dog after you had it?
We went home and gave it like 2 or 3 more baths.
Okay. The smell from the dog, is it similar to the smell that was coming from the house when you were out there?
Very bad, but not the same smell.
All right. And you guys took the dog home, correct? Mm-hmm. A few days after that, all right, do you recall seeing, I guess, a news report about events that may have happened at that house?
Yes.
And did you see them on TV?
Yes.
As part of it was the news broadcast, correct? Mm-hmm. As part of that news broadcast, did they show pictures of people associated with that residence?
Yes.
And was one of the photographs that you saw the same person that you dealt with when you purchased the dog?
Yes.
Okay. Take your statement, sir. One moment, Your Honor.
Certainly.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions of this witness.
All right, Cross?
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, sir, you may step down. Thank you very much. Is he released from his subpoena?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes?
No objection.
All right, sir, you're free to go. State, can you and the defense approach? Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to check, we have 2 more witnesses. We can get it in before 6, but if somebody needs to use the restroom, I need a hand raise. They made fun of me, I said potty last night, so I'm trying to. But we're good to go? Okay, if anybody does, just raise your hand, we can take a break and go in there. But I figured to get us out of here by 6, we'll just keep moving on if no one has to use the restroom. So state's ready to call their next witness. They have them ready to go. State, next witness?
They would call Aaron Jacobs.
Jacobs?
Correct.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what number are we on? Are we on 590?
We are on 599. Clerk, are we in agreement? Yes. All right. Ms. Jacobs, if I can have you step up to the podium. Can I have you stop right there, raise your right hand and be sworn by my clerk.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right, we're going to have you have a seat in the witness stand right here and speak in a loud and clear voice for me, okay? Okay. There's a microphone, so it makes it a little easier. You don't have to shout. All right, State, you ready to proceed?
Yes, Judge.
All right.
Can you please turn and introduce yourself to the jury?
I am Erin Jacobs.
And Ms. Jacobs, I want to take you back to August and September of 2014. What county were you living in at that time?
Pasco.
And what were you doing for work?
I was working as a delivery driver at Papa John's,
And what Papa John's were you based out of?
the one on 52 and Little.
And that's in Hudson?
Yes.
Now, on September 1st, Labor Day of 2014, did you have occasion to deliver a pizza to 7719 Hatteras Drive in
Yes.
Hudson? I want to show you or display a photograph, states 33. You recognize that?
Yes.
Is that the house that you delivered a Papa John's pizza to?
Yes.
And when you went up to the door, you knock or ring the bell or somehow let whoever's inside know you're there?
Yes.
And when you did that, somebody answered the door?
Yes.
And who answered the door?
I believe it was a child.
Child consistent with a 4-year-old?
Yes.
Small child? And once the child answered the door, did somebody else come to the door?
Yes.
Adult male?
Yep.
And did you deliver the pizza?
Yes.
And when you deliver the pizza, do you have any kind of interaction?
Yes.
What kind of interaction is that? Do you have to have them sign something?
Yeah, you have to have them sign the receipt.
Okay.
You write the total on it.
And showing defense counsel with the Marcus States 599. Ms. Jacobs, I'm going to approach you with what's been marked as States Exhibit 599 for identification. Does that look familiar?
Yes.
And does that have your name as the delivery driver on it?
I don't know.
Does it have the delivery address on there?
Yes.
And does it have the total?
Yes.
And in particular, was there a tip amount given?
Yes, there was.
And is this something that you remember distinctly?
I do.
Was it unusual?
It was.
And can you describe what the tip amount was and how that was unusual?
It was $15. He wrote the $sign at the end of the number, which I thought was odd.
Okay, so that's something that you see regularly as a delivery driver?
No, I remembered it. So.
And $15, is that a high tip?
Very high.
Is that a tip that you were used to getting on a regular basis?
No.
Is that something that stuck out a little bit?
Yes.
And this particular document is actually a copy of the person's writing and the person having signed the receipt that you were there with, right?
Yes.
Judge, at this time, say would like to move State's Exhibit 599 into evidence.
Any objection? 599 will come in.
And on this particular document, it indicates the date and approximate time the delivery would have occurred.
Yes.
And you agree with me, it's September 1st, 2014, which would have been Labor Day at about 4:30 in the afternoon?
Yes.
And Judge, I'd like to display State's 599 on the overhead, if that's all right.
You may.
And Ms. Jacobs, from where you're sitting, can you see that screen?
You need to step down so you can get a better view. You may do that.
I can see it.
You agree with me that the name on the order is Adam?
Yes.
And you agree with me that the last 4 digits of the Visa card used are 2113?
Yes.
And would you agree with me that the signature, that the mail that you indicated answered the door appears to be Margaret Brown?
Yes.
Now, Ms. Jacobs, on September 4th of 2000, or going into September 5th of 2014, did law enforcement come into contact with you
Yes.
about this pizza delivery in particular?
Yes.
And while they were chatting with you, did they show you a group of photographs?
Yes, they did.
Ms. Jacobs, I'm showing you State's Exhibit 600 for identification. Did you see this back on September 5th, 2014?
Yes.
You agree that's your signature on the first page?
Yes.
And you initialed each of these photographs that you looked through?
Yes.
Now, were you able to make an identification of one particular photograph here?
I chose 2.
And do you remember which 2 you chose?
Number 7 and number 2, I believe. Right.
As you indicated, both number 7 and number 2 could have been the person?
Yes.
But certainly that general description that you see in both number 7 and number 2, that would be consistent with the person that you delivered the pizza to?
Yes.
Judge, at this time, say would like to move State's Exhibit 600 into evidence.
Any objection? All right, 600 is in.
You agree with me that's number 7?
Yes.
And number 2 looks pretty similar?
Yes.
A different guy? I don't have any more questions, Judge.
Cross?
Just a couple questions, Your Honor. Ms. Jacobs, you said you saw a little boy first?
Yes, I believe so.
He was excited to see the pizza, right?
Yes.
Did he seem like a healthy little boy?
Yes.
Happy?
He appeared to be, yeah.
Thank you.
Any further questions?
No, Judge.
Defense, any further questions?
Here you are.
All right, ma'am, you may step down. Is she released from her subpoena? State?
I'm sorry, Judge.
Is she released?
Yes, Judge.
All right, defense, any objection?
Here you are.
All right, Ms. Jacobs, thank you very much. You're released.
Thank you.
You're free to go. State, call your next witness.
State will call James Branham.
Mr. Brown, you want to step up to the podium for me, sir? You can stop right there, raise your right hand, and be sworn by my clerk.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, sir, if you want to step around to the witness stand and then speak in a loud and clear voice for me, okay? Sir, there's a microphone right in front of you, so if you can just speak into that, it would be good, okay? Stage, may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Defense, could you please turn and introduce yourself to the jury?
James Branham,
Will you please spell your last name for the court reporter?
Branham.
Now, Mr. Branham, I want to take you back to August 29th of 2014. What were you doing for work at that time?
I was working for Walmart on the overnight shift.
And how long did you work for Walmart?
I worked for him for 14 years.
Are you retired now?
Yes.
And how long were you in the overnight shift?
I was on the overnight shift the entire time that I worked for him.
So for 14 years?
Yeah.
Now, I want to talk to you about a particular transaction on August 29th of 2014, around between 11:30 and midnight of that day. Do you know the transaction I'm talking about?
Yes, sir.
Is there anything about it that kind of stuck out in your mind?
Yes.
And what was that?
The gentleman was in the electronics department, and he had a shovel, isn't it?
Okay. Now, you worked the overnight section for a long time?
Yes.
Was it common for people to buy shovels at 11:30 at night? Midnight?
Not too often, not in the electronics department.
So it's a rare circumstance?
Yes.
Now, now Walmart is set up with surveillance cameras everywhere. Is that fair?
Yes.
Now I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 601 for identification. Have you seen this before?
Yes, sir.
And did you date it and put your initials on it when you reviewed it previously?
Yes, sir.
And what is this?
That's the surveillance of that night, that transaction.
Okay. Judge, at this time, I'd like to admit State 601 into evidence.
Defense, any objection?
No, Your Honor.
All right, 601 will be admitted.
And permission to publish, Judge.
You may.
And Mr. Branham, as we're setting this up, can you tell us how the transaction occurred?
I was working freight, and I was called over the intercom to go to the video cases for customer assistance. I went to the video cases, and there was a young man waiting at the video cases with a shovel. I gave him a greeting, how you doing, something to that effect, and asked him what he wanted. He told me he wanted a PS4 video console and a game. I got him out of the case for him, and we made a little small talk, as was usual, and then I carried him over to the register, rang him up. He ran his credit card through from his side of the register. Sale was declined, and I told him so, and he decided to take the PS4 and the video game off of the sale and just buy the shovel.
Really wanted that shovel, huh?
He wanted the shovel.
Now, when you're doing the transaction, he runs the credit card?
He runs the card, yeah.
So you never actually have any involvement with the card
We
itself?
don't even see it, no.
And when the card is declined, you're not given any particular reason why?
No.
Okay.
No.
Now, I'm displaying States 601 on the big screen there, one of the particular views. You agree with me at the bottom here, it reads 8/29/2014, 11:42:33 p.m. Is that too far away for you?
No,
You need to stand up
Okay,
and
if
get
you
closer.
need to get down and look at it. You see where I'm looking?
yeah,
You agree that says 8/29/2014, 11:42:33 p.m.?
oh, yeah,
Down there?
yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't talking about it.
Okay.
Sorry about that. And what view is this? What are we looking at in this camera angle before I started?
That is a, looks like a downward view of the register area in the electronics department.
Okay, and we're about to watch the transaction, but the transaction was in fact completed for the shovel,
Yes,
meaning the shovel was purchased and you could leave with it?
yes.
You can take your seat, sir. if you want. Is that you that just entered the frame there?
Yes, I'm setting the game system and the game up on the register there. And preparing to ring it up. I believe at that point I had to pause and answer the telephone. It was also my duties to answer the telephone when it rang on overnights in the electronics department. That is my assistant manager coming into the picture there to answer the phone. Call was for him. told him that his sale was declined, and we're going to void the game system and the video game. And told to rerun the sale and give him his receipt.
So he's good to go with his shovel? As you sit here today, are you able to recognize that individual?
Yes, sir.
Please point him out and identify something he's wearing.
It's the young man with the black suit on the end there.
Judge, may the record reflect that the witness has indicated the defendant?
Will so reflect.
I don't have any more questions, Judge.
Cross?
Nothing more.
All right, sir, you may step down. Is he released from his subpoena?
Yes, sir.
Bench? Yes?
Yes.
All right, sir, you're free to go. Thank you. If I can have the lawyers at the bench. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I know you all can count, and that was 2. We are done for the evening. I have a few things to talk to you about before you go. I promise it won't be more than a few minutes. Monday morning, because you're off tomorrow and a long weekend, but Monday morning, we still need you here at 9:30, just like we did all this week. But instead of going to the jury pool room, we're going to have you meet at the legal center or the law library. It's just on the same wall. It's at the end of the wall. So as you come in from the front door from the metal detectors, you'll pass through or pass on that same hallway. Instead of going into where you've been going, just go to the end of the hall. You'll see it. It's a law library. It'll be set up. I'll have some of the clerks there to show you. We have jury trials starting Monday, so we're going to have that big pool, like when you came the first day, in the big room. So we won't bother you. We don't want anybody talking to you or saying anything that you don't need to hear about, okay? So we're going to just keep you, it's a really nice little room. It's got chairs and tables and comfy chairs, and just like, you know, the regular room does. But we're just going to keep you separate. You won't be down there that long. I've been bringing you up within, 10 minutes of knowing that you're here. So, again, no talking, tweeting, texting, or blogging. You have 3 long days of people, hey, what are you doing? What's going on? You might go to, a party or a cookout, or you might go on a boat like everybody today. Please just remind them you can't talk about the case, you can't discuss it, and if they persist, you need to remove yourself from that situation, okay? But we'll see you on Monday. We moved very fast this afternoon. We got through, I think we're back up to right where we're supposed to be. So we're exactly where we're supposed to be. And we'll see you on Monday at 9:30 in the legal law library. Okay? If you get lost, just ask them for the law library. They'll show you where it is.